Right, so let's just pretend like I've just pressed record now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first official Frazzgussion or Frazzlecast. I'm working on the title, I promise. I'm joined today by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. TARDIS. How you doing, Mr. T?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
I'm alright. All the better for actually having something that can work this time.
Yes, because this isn't our first conversation, is it?
Let's pretend like it is. Let's pretend like it officially
Okay,
is.
so hi, nice to meet you. I'm Mr. T.
I'm Mr.
Not
T.
that Mr. T.
And then he introduced you as Mr. TARDIS Reviews, but of course you've rebranded, haven't you?
Kind of, yeah. Well, I'm rebranding all the time. I think we'll go for Mr. TARDIS. I think that's the most
Hashtag not my Mr.
uh,
TARDIS, but alright.
not my Mr. TARDIS. No, not my Trilby.
Yeah, I've got a live stream coming later. Anyway, so how are things for you in this stage of the lockdown then?
Yeah, things are okay. They've been recently. It's been recently lifted, but my area is still in tier 3.
Yeah.
I think like 90% of the country is currently in tier 3 at time of recording. So I don't know what the point of tiers is if it's so across the board. But yeah, things are trying to get back to normal, I guess. But because it's a quiet time of year for me anyway, in like TV freelance world. So it's going to be a quiet December. But it's so it's just trying to keep things going along, trying to just make the most of the quiet time. Really, you just get a lot of boring adult stuff done. I'm going to be getting some furniture tonight and tomorrow, so that's just that's the name of the game. That's how exciting it is. But how are things with you?
Oh, they're all right. I've started my new job. I've been doing it for a couple of
Cool.
months now. It's nothing interesting, but I get paid for it. And
Oh, I should hope so.
yeah. They were like, "Do you want us to pay?" I was like, maybe. Let's see how it goes.
Pay me in Christmas candy.
Yeah. Even though I started in September, but was it September?
It's Christmas candy is not just for Christmas,
Oh
not
no,
just
of
for
course not.
December.
What do you think Easter's for?
It's just rebranded Christmas candy, isn't it?
Exactly.
So,
Jesus came back just because he knew that the companies needed more money.
yeah, he emerges from the cave with Cadbury's and Galaxy bars, Milky Ways. Yeah, he was really on it.
This conversation took a weird turn, but
It did, didn't it?
it
Yeah.
does. Have you got your Christmas shopping done yet?
Almost all of it. Yes, it's the last couple of things really, but it's mainly just doing the food shops now and everything because
Yeah.
they're putting everything on the shelves last minute because it's not going to stay on the shelves. It's not going to keep basically. It's not going to keep for 2 weeks, so it's going to be a mad dash. It's going to be a mad rush for the last couple of days leading up to Christmas. So just bracing yourself for that, really. But yeah, most of the Christmas shopping is done.
Yeah, I'm nearly on my end as well. Most of the Amazon parcels have arrived,
Okay, good.
including the dreaded K9 Company, which I got for my youngest brother, which I'm
You
buzzing to
ordered
watch.
that? That's awesome.
Yeah, we came in a box set with that and K9's first story, The Invisible Enemy.
Oh, the Canine Tales, I think,
Yes.
or whatever it's called. Yes, that I remember that box set. Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of box sets, my Series 7 Steelbook is arriving today. So if there's a knock at the door, or if there's an almighty thud as it goes through the letterbox, that's what that is.
All right, I'll just assume that it's not just some gangsters come banging at the door.
Oh, we've come for the Steelbook.
Why would anyone try and steal Series 7?
Oh,
Honestly.
but what if you've seen the scalpers on eBay? That thing could be worth quite a lot once it goes out of print.
Yeah, but I'm here sat on my high horse. I've got my Series 5 Steelbook. They've got their
Yeah.
Series 7s. I think one Series 5 is worth 1,000 Series 7s. Steelbook on that.
I would not disagree with that.
Mm.
But the Series 2 Steelbook is the one that eluded me. I didn't have any money when it was released. It's gone out of print, and now you can only get it on eBay for like £200.
Oh, I know, it's ridiculous.
So I'm hoping they do a reissue at some point.
Probably will. They'll probably try and release them in like, well, probably next Christmas when they've run out of things to release.
yeah. Once they've gone through all the revived series three times.
When they finish the Classic Who Blu-rays, I'm assuming they're going to release a full set, which will be like the size of the room we're currently sat in.
If they actually released all of the collection, but in a life-sized TARDIS box, as in like it's a walk-in DVD room,
That would
like
be
you
class.
open the doors and it's on shelves, that would be outstanding, but preposterously expensive.
I used to have back like years ago, back 2009, I used to have a TARDIS wardrobe, which was like
Oh, that's
full size.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to have it in like, because it was just me, my dad and my brother, we used to have like this individual room. We just came out after the Waters of Mars, so I didn't want to sleep in my own room. So we had this like this this individual room with like the TARDIS wardrobe there, the TV there. It was pretty much just a Doctor Who room rather than a playroom.
The restroom is in the playroom.
The restroom was my bed after watching Waters of Mars.
Oh, blimey. Emphasis on Waters of Mars, blimey.
Oh, it terrified me as a kid. I've got such fond memories of it. Like, it came out the week of my birthday. I remember coming back from like a day out with my mum because it was the weekend, and then she let me stay up to watch it, and I was scared shitless. Oh my god! The
flood are genuinely creepy. There's like just the dry lips and the screams. Yeah, it's freaky.
Especially the bit where that woman, I forget her name, I think she's Russian, where she's the water just breaks down in the room and it's just slowly like edging towards her, just watching the clip of like her brother or her children or something. She's just crying. Oh,
yes, it's so sad.
Russell, you mad, horrible man. I was traumatized.
But Waters of Mars, you've had an excuse to rewatch that this year because of the whole Time Lord Victoria stuff.
Yeah, I've been falling behind on that. I've got a couple of things, but not much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have such fond memories of the 2009 specials, though. I often say to people that's like my peak of being a Doctor Who fan, when like nothing could ruin it.
Yeah, Series 4 and the 2009 specials was like when most people were watching, when it was the Christmas idents for that year, when David Tennant, he steals the reindeer. Yeah, those are really cool. But I've recently watched the next Doctor for Cyber December. It gets halfway there, but like it's really well shot and made, and it like because those specials were given quite a big budget. But I just wish we had more David Morrissey or we had more Cybermen, but instead it just kind of compromises on both.
Yeah, I remember watching it recently, and it was at the start. I couldn't remember what really happened or how the Doctor found out that this guy wasn't actually the Doctor. And then all of a sudden they were like talking outside the hut, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've worked it out now." I was like, "Oh, okay, is that the end of it then?"
Oh, we're only 15 minutes into the episode. What's going on?
Exactly, but then it's worth it for that iconic scene where he's like doing a sword fight with the Cyberman.
That's really cool. Yes.
Tennant's just the best. Well, he's not the best, but he's just. He
sold the action hero aspect of the Doctor that Pert we kind of flirted with, but they didn't have the budget to do.
Yeah.
But they absolutely did with Tennant, and he embraced it.
Yeah. You just say the name the Doctor out of context to me, and I instantly picture David Tennant.
Yes, and for the classic series, it's Tom Baker. For the revived series, at least for the public perception, it's David Tennant. And I don't blame them for thinking that. Yeah,
he definitely earned it, despite what some fanboys may try to say.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those, he's cool to hate because he's popular.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like a bit of a hipstery response. But it's not like his era had no merit or that he wasn't a good actor. He's probably one of the best actors to play the Doctor.
So
up there with Capaldi and Colin Baker and Patrick Troughton in terms of just pure raw talent.
Yeah, and it's like my mum always used to tell me, like, when someone would criticise me for watching something popular, things are popular for a reason. They don't just become popular by accident.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Stranger Things wasn't popular because it was on. It was popular because it was a really good show.
Yeah, or it's something that comes along at just the right time. Yeah. And I think apart from maybe James Bond, British TV didn't have an action hero in the mid 2000s. At least not
Spartacus from Lazy Town. What are you talking about?
Okay, so but we all know that David Tennant would beat Spartacus in a race.
Oh,
Spartacus in a race.
Spartacus,
Yes, but racing actual Spartacus is a very different episode, and I will put that in a document and pitch that to Big Finish.
Oh, they've probably already done it, man. There's probably a box set, probably a war box set coming out.
But I'll just say it's got David Tennant in it, and they'll be like, "Yep, we'll do it. We'll release everything David Tennant related. Want a 3-part Dalek Universe box set? That'll be £60, please."
I'm excited about this Dalek Universe thing, but like it's coming out alongside so much other Tennant stuff. Like it's not really as impactful.
Nah, and I don't even know what it's about. It's it just sounds like a modern day master plan, which for some people that
With
sounds
Mark Gatiss.
amazing. Oh yeah, but I don't know if that's going to be good or not. I need to know more.
Yeah, the trailer was good though.
Oh yeah, I love the trailer.
Big Finish trailers are 90% good.
Sorry, my cat's meowing at something out the window. I think another cat's antagonising her. But yeah, the Big Finish have got that poll for the best video of the year, and it looks like the Ninth Doctor one is going to take it.
Oh yeah.
But I think the Dalek Universe video is the best, but the Ninth Doctor announcement was the best news. If that makes sense, because the Ninth Doctor announcement,
I agree.
The announcement video is just a blue vortex with a stock image of him.
I know.
Like, it's not even a brand new image of Eccleston. I'm not expecting that, but no voiceover, no stories, no writers announced. It is just Eccleston's back, and that's worth celebrating. But it's not the best video.
Nah, that's true. They could have at least got him to do maybe a voiceover, a quick one.
Nah, but it'd be interesting to know how much of it was recorded, because one thing I like about Big Finish is on their website they'll tell you when and where stuff was recorded.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested in knowing that. I presume he's filmed a lot of it during lockdown.
Yeah.
Because Big Finish have been sending their microphones and sending stuff to the actors so they can record at home, which is really cool.
That's cool. Yeah. I just love I love the image of Eccleston playing the character again, just in his own bedroom. That brings me so much joy.
I would love to see because Eccleston's Instagram is just top quality Instagram, top tier.
Oh, I know.
Will there be pictures of him in a cupboard, basically? But because he's a tall man, so is him hunched over in the cupboard under the stairs, Harry Potter style, trying to record, and he's got a little minifigure of Rose Tyler, and when he needs to get motivation, he's like, "Go home,
go to your room,
Rose."
I can just imagine one of his kids walking in on him with this Rose action thing. He's like, "Excuse me, do you mind?" I'm in the middle of something. He's like, "But Dad, you're not recording Big Finish till next week." "Yeah, but I've got the Rose figure. Do you mind?" He just shuts the door.
Yeah, I'm getting in character, son. They should hire us to. Why did they need Eccleston? They should have just got us. But yeah,
I've got an email from them. We've got 4 box sets coming out 2029.
Oh, lovely. Okay, so there's plenty of time to start writing those. But they'll make the announcement tomorrow, release the artwork in 2 months' time, and that will be that.
That's got to be my biggest problem with Big Finish. They announced stuff. I see a trailer like that 11th Doctor trailer. I was like, "Oh, this looks amazing." When's it coming out? It's not coming out until 2022.
Yeah, it's like September 2022 or so. It's 12 months at least out. It's a bit nuts. Even that 10th Doctor with classic companions, great announcement. But it's not for another 2 years.
And it's a bit soon as well, considering everything that's going on with the 10th Doctor. People are just going to complain.
Yeah, I don't think it would impact the sales, but there is such a thing as, being oversaturated.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the War Doctor stuff as well with Jonathan Carley.
Yeah, that does look good.
Yeah, so that and Eccleston next year. Looking forward to those.
Yeah, I've ordered the first Eccleston. I'm just really excited for it to come.
Yeah, that was my first Big Finish pre-order.
Really? I wish it was mine, but I've got loads of Big Finish that I haven't listened to yet.
Yeah, well, because I'm working on some projects for next year, so I've been listening to Eccleston, Ninth Doctor Big Finish, his short trips, and I was able to get his collection box set thing where it's Nicholas Briggs, Camille Coduri, Bruno Langley. And I got it for £10 off eBay, brand new. It was still factory sealed and everything. I've no idea if that's any good, but that'll be an interesting trip.
Yeah. It's odd though. I don't know anyone who can do a properly good Ninth Doctor impression. You'd think Tom Baker's voice would be the hardest to do, and then a Cockney man would be the easiest. But no, apparently not. Apparently everyone and their mums can do a Tom Baker impression, but nobody can do a convincing Ninth Doctor.
I'm curious what I feel terrible now. I've forgotten his name. He does the Brigadier now, and
John Coleshaw.
John Coleshaw, of course. It's a shame on me. I'd be interested to hear his stab at Eccleston. Just if I was at a convention and I met him, and I said, "Can you do an Eccleston?" I just want to know.
I've seen a clip. It's not very It's not very good. No, he
like,
does like Tom Bacon and Pertwee, and they're outstanding. But then he does Eccleston. It's like the dip in quality.
Yeah, well, his Brigadier is great as well. Like, close your eyes and it's Nicholas Courtney again.
Yeah.
But Pete Walsh is, I think, kind of the definitive voice of the Ninth Doctor, apart from Eccleston, of course.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Maybe Pete Walsh would do a better Eccleston than Eccleston does, because Matt Smith in the Adventure Games was not a very good 11th Doctor.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
his voice acting. So obviously, I'm sure he'll have great direction and support when he's in his cupboard under the stairs. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But I want to know who's writing it. I want to know who the story is. But I still pre-ordered the first box set.
Yeah, I could just imagine Eccleston just sat at home in his cupboard under the stairs playing with his Rose figure. Then a letter comes through the door. It's from Big Finish. It's sealed with a big BF stamp on the back and a Nicholas Briggs handwriting
It's
on
like the wax stamp.
Yeah.
Like he's been invited to Super Smash Brothers.
And then his wife and his children are like, no, Dad, don't fall into that trap. Don't do what Nick Briggs did and just oversaturate. He's like, no, I'm doing it. I'm going back into the cupboard with Rose. But Dad, you're not recording till next year. Shut up, kids.
So he's basically grumpy pre-Rose Doctor.
Yeah, that's just Eccleston.
I
don't know, never mind.
He goes to his cupboard under the stairs, opens the door again, and says, "Don't tell anyone about Big Finish, because if you do, you'll get them killed."
Yes.
And then he closes the door again.
And he blows the house up to get rid of any evidence.
Yes. He sends it via WeTransfer. He sends the files and then blows up the house.
Oh, yeah. Bloody Chris Eccleston.
Shake fist Eccleston.
Yeah, have you seen that gif of Tennant going, Barrowman?
Oh, yes, I love that clip.
It's iconic. I hope to use it in a video one day.
I don't even think you need a reason to use it. Just drop it in somewhere and no one will complain.
Yeah. So, what kind of things have you been binging in lockdown? In fact, what's been your favourite show of 2020?
There was that Netflix show, Unorthodox.
I didn't watch that.
It came out, I think it was pre-lockdown. Let me just get the release date up. It came out in March, so pre-lockdown. And it's this 4-part Netflix series about this teenage girl who grows up in a very ultra-Orthodox Jewish community in New York. And she runs away from the family to go to Europe. I think she goes to Berlin to try and pursue a music career. And it sounds like a bit of a cliche story, but it's so incredibly well told. It's 4 episodes. They're about an hour each. Because most Netflix shows are 10 to 13 episodes long. And you feel the length and you feel that Netflix drag, as it's called. And but because it doesn't waste an episode, all the characters are so richly defined. The drama's terrific. It's so well directed. And Shira Haas, who plays the lead, the teenage girl, so she's like the breakout star of 2020. I think she's she's won Emmy, or she's had Emmy nominations and award nominations for her work in the show this year. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing that I've seen this year so far. It's really good.
I thought you were going to say something like Staged or something, but that took a dark turn.
Oh, Stage was really good as well. I'm looking forward to series 2.
Have you seen the extended ones on Netflix?
There's extended ones?
Yeah, 5 extra minutes each episode.
Oh, I know what I'm doing, after I've done my Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
I know that there's series 2 that's happening in the near future, so I'm looking forward to those. But it sounds like such a cliche show to make during this time, but they play it so well.
Yeah. Have you seen the trailer for the new one where it's Michael Sheen and he's he's been replaced for a role, and Tennant's have you ever been replaced before? Yes. I've infiltrated his life. I'm gaining his friendship slowly but surely.
Yeah, they must have such a great sense of humor about themselves because they're playing dickhead versions of themselves, basically.
Yeah. I love the running gag of the end credits. What way round?
Yes, those are so, and they give themselves titles and stuff.
Yeah,
that's really fun. I think David Tennant and Georgia Tennant are such a great professional couple.
Yeah,
And they don't mind taking the mick about themselves. If you've seen the Five-ish Doctors reboot,
I bloody love it. Yeah.
and David Tennant's on set for the Day of the Doctor, and he's and he lets the classic Doctors in, and he's like, is there something I should have asked my wife about something, because he rings her up to talk to her. Should I ask her something? Nah, probably nothing important. And it turns out she's in labour.
Yeah. Yes. That is brilliant. And it's earlier on when she's on the phone, she's like eating ice cream with a stick of celery.
It's
She's
so
definitely
great.
Davidson's daughter with celery.
Yep, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So what's been your show of 2020?
I watched quite a lot of shows this year. I'm trying to become a bit of a TV show connoisseur, which isn't as sad as it sounds. But my favourite has been I Hate Susie with Billy Piper.
So I've not watched that yet.
Oh, it's so good.
I've been meaning to. It seems like something I'd really enjoy. I just haven't got around to it yet.
The filmmaking is like just something else. Like, it's really interesting because it doesn't hit you over the head. You can really interpret it in any way. Like, I watched it at one point and I thought maybe we're seeing this from her perspective. Maybe the husband's like abusive, but because she doesn't know, because it'll be subtle. We're seeing it from a certain point, and like we have no idea. It could be any direction. It's so good, and it broke the record with the longest masturbation scene in TV history.
Yes, I saw all the photoshopped segments. Like, people would swap out the title of the episode with like The Doctor Dances or Dalek, and saying this has got Billy Piper's longest masturbation scene. I remember that news story. That was very funny.
It was funny. Yeah, it was a brilliant show there.
But yeah, I've been meaning to check it out.
Oh, so if you even have one, what would you say is your least favourite show of 2020?
So I don't tend to watch TV that I don't think I'm going to enjoy. Least favourite show? Well, I'm not sure. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of stuff that I wasn't a big fan of or didn't enjoy. Truth be told, I've only watched maybe 4 or 5 TV shows this year.
Amateur.
And none of them I've got like a really bad opinion of. Well, I can't be a connoisseur such as yourself.
I wish I was, but I'm not. I'm just a dick in his room binging TV shows.
Oh, more of a connoisseur than me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't think of any TV that I've watched this. Like, there probably is something, but nothing's springing to mind immediately.
Mine would be either the newest series of The Good Place, which I didn't like. I saw this thing with Lee Mack called Semi-Detached, and like it had some interesting ideas. It was like all mostly done in one shot, and it was done in real time, which I love stuff like that. But like it didn't benefit the story at all. It was really, really stupid. And then number 1, Dracula, easily.
I watched the first episode of that, and I liked it.
Oh, the first one's good.
I liked the first episode, but like it was kind of insane watching Twitter on January 3rd, or was it day after day that they broadcast them? Either way, the third episode, just watching people immediately turn on the series.
I was the same. I was part of that mob.
Yeah, but it was kind of like, obviously we've all got our own echo chambers on Twitter and stuff, but I didn't see a single dissenting voice. Everyone was like, "Yeah, I loved the first 2 episodes," and now it's just, even my fiance was in that boat as well. And it just seems like that's a lot of what Stephen Moffat unfortunately does, where he starts so strong and then just drops the ball at the end. Like you saw it with Sherlock, you saw it with Jekyll, you saw it with Doctor Who, and then he was able to pick it back up at the end.
But with Twice Upon a Time.
No, I was on like series 10. Then he dropped the ball again for Twice Upon a Time. But in my opinion, but yeah, I'm thinking of other TV shows I saw this year. Like Haunting of Bly Manor, I really liked.
I saw I thought the first couple of episodes. That was good.
I haven't seen Haunting of Hill House, but yes, I guess watched Bly Manor first for some reason because I'm weird like that. But yeah, I really liked that.
I haven't seen Hill House either. I was actually a bit disappointed when I found out it was kind of like a sequel to Hill House, because I was like, oh, this is really working on its own, building up this mystery. But then I found out it was like a sequel thing. I was like, oh, am I missing something?
Oh, from what I can tell, you don't need to have seen anything from Hill House to enjoy it. It works well as a standalone story. It might be fun to recognise some of the cast members and characters, but yeah, it was able to work really well as a standalone standalone series, and it was really good. A little bit long. Like, I think you could maybe lose an episode, but it was still really strong. So I'm just googling 2020 TV shows and just seeing if there's anything I
Watch The Boys.
watched. I watched the first episode and I liked it. I just haven't gone back to it yet.
You haven't finished. What is the matter with you, man?
I'm so bad at, like, I start things. Oh, something that came out this year, Hollywood, on Netflix.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
So Hollywood is this really high budget, like really glamorous Netflix series, 7 episodes, and it's set in an alternative 1940s, 1950s Hollywood during, like, the end of the golden age, the end of the studio system. Because back in the olden times, movie companies and movie studios would, like, own the talent, basically.
Yeah.
And they would, they'd live on the studio lots, and they'd be under contracts and stuff like that. And it's set in this time, and it's basically a series about how, if this is going to sound bad out of context, but this is kind of the moral of the story. If black actors in Hollywood had just stood up for themselves, they could have ended racism, and that's the plot of Hollywood. And it's so, like, well filmed and well acted, and the cast are great, but it takes such a really weird turn at the end, and it's so self-satisfied with itself, and it's like, oh, if only, because there was that woman in is it Gone with the Wind, and she was, like, the first woman to be nominated, or like the first black woman to win an Oscar, but she had to, like, sit in segregated seating. She had to, like, walk in the back door, stuff like that. And the film basically posits that if only that actress had just said no and stood up for herself, she could have ended racism. And it's like, that's not how any of that works. What the hell? Yeah, so that probably is the worst TV show that I've watched from beginning to end this year. Like, but it starts off so strong. But one of the worst bits is that you've got Jim Parsons playing this studio head.
I don't really like Jim Parsons that much.
I think he's a unique instrument as an actor. I think if you get him in the right role, he can excel.
I just really hate The Big Bang Theory, so it's probably just PTSD.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't like The Big Bang Theory either. But here especially, I think you're not going to like him because he plays this abusive, like, studio head or like an a talent manager basically, and he's essentially, like, sexually harassing and sexually assaulting his client base. And especially coming through, like, recently with Me Too and Harvey Weinstein and stuff, and it tries to give the character a really sympathetic portrayal and a redemption arc and stuff like that. And it's like, this is, for something that really wants to appreciate the best of Hollywood, it seems so tone deaf. And it's a shame because, like I said, the cast are great. You've got an actor who plays like a pitch perfect Rock Hudson. It's got real life actors. It's got real life celebrities being, like, played by celebrity actors and stuff in this. Like, the cast is terrific. It just really doesn't know what it's doing. It doesn't know what it's on about. But it's dressed up. It's got this great cast. It's got a massive budget, and it's just kind of wasted on this show that fails to read the room.
Yeah, that does sound like something Moffat does, where he has, like, a great cast. I mean, obviously Moffat never did anything as bad as that, but, like, he has a great cast, massive budget, just flushes it down the toilet.
Yeah, like, if I was doing just general TV discussion, I probably would have made a YouTube video about it with, like, a clickbait title, like, oh, when Netflix solved racism, because that's basically what the series wants to be. But it obviously doesn't reach there. But, like, it's got so many actors you'll recognize, and it's got a really cool opening title sequence. But apart from that, I recommend staying away.
Yeah, I think I will avoid that one. But on the topic of Wasted, let's talk. I've got a bit of a Moffat question for you.
Fun.
Yeah, like I remember around series. I mean, I didn't watch Series 10 on broadcast because I fell out of love with it with Doctor Mysterio. But I remember reading something. I think it was a Red Dwarf article where it was talking about sci-fi comedy, and then someone mentioned that they thought Doctor Who should be classified as a sci-fi comedy because there were so many like sitcom setups and like really bad sex jokes in it. And so, do you think Moffat's Doctor Who became too much of a comedy?
I never thought about it like that before, but I can see where they're coming from. Especially when you've got, in Series 9, the Doctor rocking up on a tank and sunglasses and a guitar.
I know.
It does seem very trying. And I think it's more the fact that it's trying so hard to be funny that it wants to force itself into that category.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can classify it as a comedy, though, especially like in that same series it ends with Heaven Sent and Hell Bent, which I don't think there's a single laugh out loud moment in that finale. Like, there's a few funny gags and stuff, like especially when the 12th Doctor looks directly at the camera and says, "Oh, I'm nothing without an audience." Like, so there's a few witty moments in it, but it's not an outright comedy. I also think when you think of comedy, you do think
funny.
of yeah, that as well. But in terms of just the visual language of comedy, where maybe some wacky sound effects or multiple camera setup, like you watch like a minute of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and you know it's a comedy just because of how it's filmed, because of the shot reverse shot, joke after joke after joke, and some shows as well, like Big Bang Theory, like it or not, is classed as a comedy. It has the audience canned laughter in the background and stuff. But Doctor Who does not remotely have that visual language. It's a sci-fi drama with comedy elements.
Oh yeah.
And some episodes are more comedic than others, particularly like The Husbands of River Song would probably be a light-hearted Christmas comedy caper. Yes, I think some episodes can fall into the comedy category, but as a show overall, I disagree. But I can see why people would think that, particularly during the Moffat era.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like a problem with all of Doctor Who being funny. It was really just within the Moffat era where the jokes were particularly bad. Like, I remember when I must have been about 8 when Series 6 came out, and then the dialogue between the 11th Doctor and the song, it started out so well with Science in the Library in Series 5. They had a great chemistry, great rapport, but in Series 6 it was so painfully unfunny and forced, and the way they just oogle each other and see sexual things, it was like, oh god.
Well, have you read the original draft for Blink?
Yes.
That got released a few weeks ago.
That was what I was going to mention. The dialogue in that. Oh.
Sally Sparrow's like first line of dialogue is sexy.
I know.
And she ends that episode basically asking for a date with Kathy Nightingale, who's not in the episode, but she's the sister who's alluded to. So yeah, and I'm so glad that Russell T Davies took that out of his hands, or at least suggested those rewrites and those notes, because if that's Moffat just on autopilot without any restraint, it's no wonder Series 7, 8, and 9 turned out the way that they did.
I know. And there's that bit where Sally describes the Doctor, which she sees him for the first time, it's like, not my type, gay hair. And then later on she mentions it again, she's like, I'm being stalked by a man with gay hair. It's like, Moffat, come on, it's 2007. Grow up.
That kind of reads to me, like, because I know the situation regarding Blink, where he was meant to write the two-parter, like, near the beginning of the series, but he was show-running Jekyll, so he couldn't do it, so he had to drop out. So he thought, just because I've messed Russ T Davies around, because I've messed up the schedule, I'll take the Dr. Light story, because that's the story that no one wanted to do.
Yeah.
So he thought, okay, so I'll do that one, so I'll bash out a draft. So I imagine that might be just a stream of consciousness Moffat, no filter, first draft, get it on paper, send it out. And I think in that creative scenario, your worst instincts can come to the forefront. But I'm glad that wasn't, because I think if he was showrunning at the time, that draft that got released is what would have made up on screen.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. That's why I think for Series 5 and 6, which is his stronger outings, he did have script editors holding him back, and he did have producers to answer for.
Yeah. With Series 7, they just assumed they knew what he was doing, and he clearly didn't.
Because isn't his in-law one of the BBC head of production or something?
Yeah, and his wife often produces things with him, so
yeah,
it's not good. And his best friend Mark Gatiss, I watched an interview recently from about 2015 where he was talking about his relationship with Mark Gatiss, and he literally said that they never say no to each other. Like he says, most comedy sorry about my terrible Scottish accent. Most comedy parents, writing parents, they're often like saying no to each other to keep. But with me and Mark, I'm going to stop the accent. With me and Mark, it was all. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Put it on paper. They never said no to each other. That's literally what he said, and that explains so much. So much.
I think there's something to be said for not saying no to anything and like writing just anything down during the initial creative process, because sometimes that is how the ideas form. But when it comes to taking that first draft and then filtering it through the process and taking things out and adding things in, yeah, that's a recipe for disaster, I think. But like for getting stuff that first draft, we as an audience, we shouldn't have seen that Blink draft. That's something that should have been on Moffat's laptop or in the BBC vaults for however long. And I'm kind of grateful to have read it because it's just interesting, and it also makes me grateful that we never got it. But it's very illuminating. It's interesting to talk about, but we shouldn't hold it to any particular standard, if that makes sense. It's hard to like get out the mindset, but you've got to compartmentalize it.
That's fair. But I was watching Last Christmas recently. I was thinking about doing a review because of how awful it was, but that is definitely 100% a first draft. Like, autopilot first draft, so he just kind of wrote it thinking, oh, and it was all a dream, so all of the mistakes means, yeah, it was on purpose. It was, I can't stand that episode.
I have not watched Last Christmas since it was broadcast.
Me neither. I hadn't watched it since then either.
I have barely any recollection of it.
Lucky you.
It was all a dream.
Oh.
Yeah, I think particularly with the Christmas specials, like Twice Upon a Time, like we know that it came together at the last minute because Moffat heard that Chibnall didn't want to do a Christmas special that year or something.
Yeah.
So he was like, no, okay, so I'll put something together so we can retain that slot. But so what's Browser history?
That's what I meant by bad comedy.
Yeah, it's. That also completely feels like a first draft, but it's a first draft that's trying to contend with some really big ideas. So it's props for trying, but it doesn't come together.
No, it's awful. I can understand why Chibnall didn't want to start with a Christmas special though, because like The Woman Who Fell to Earth, he clearly wanted to end it with that cliffhanger. You can't really do that with a Christmas special, not really.
Yeah, although it could have been fun if the Doctor landed in Grace and Graham's train on Christmas Eve, like they were travelling home for Christmas or something.
Yeah.
I think with a slight workaround, he could have done it. But definitely. I think, but maybe there's other forces behind the scenes. Maybe they'd already shot a big portion of it, and they were like, oh no, we can't just CGI Christmas trees and tinsel in the background of every shot.
Yeah. It would have been cool though for a Doctor to start off with a special, because one of the things I really like about Series 2 is that it starts with the Christmas invasion. So like it goes out and then everyone hears, oh, did you see that new Doctor? That new Doctor's came out. And then when you go in with Series 2, you're not slowly getting to know them. That's it. You're in with a new Doctor from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's cool. But it's also, but I can just imagine just the quote unquote discourse surrounding that. It would have been like, oh, he's starting with a new Doctor on Christmas Day. He's just trying to copy Russell. Like even if it wasn't the case, but obviously you shouldn't let that influence what you wanted to do. But
one of the things I like about Chibnall is that he doesn't let things bother him. Clearly.
I'm sure he reads some reviews, but I really do hope that he's able to compartmentalize between good faith critique and bad faith critique, because he's going to have to wade through a lot of bad faith critique to get to the genuine feedback, which just inhibits his process if he is someone who's trying to take on board the feedback. This era of the show, I'll be so interested to know in like 20, 30 years' time, like when they have their own collection box sets, and you've got Jodie Whittaker at 80 years old in the behind the sofa segment.
She's not 50.
No, I just not 50. I'm just on about like just an older, elderly Jodie Whittaker for the inevitable collection box set. In however many years' time, and she's watching the series back, kind of like how you get Tom Baker, like in his he's 90ish, isn't he? I forget his age.
I think so. I think he's mid-80s. Yeah.
I'm gonna double check because I'm curious. He's 86. Why did I think he was in his 90s? So yeah, he's 86. yeah, so you just get him still watching the show for these DVD and Blu-ray collections, which is fun.
That is fun.
But yeah, so I'll be interested in knowing what the behind the scenes was, if there was any drama, or if there was any great behind the scenes trivia, if chaos in Cardiff was a real thing. Spoiler alert, it probably wasn't.
No, but I am interested to see what happens with Series 12, because every one of the very few accounts I've read about the production of Series 12, like if you've seen that new Doctor Who magazine where they released the original designs for the monsters, and they kept saying,
I've not seen that yet.
They ran out of time. Apparently it was a really rushed production schedule. I'm interested to know why, like what happened. They had a full year. Like, were there errors? Were there mistakes? Did somebody want to leave? Did Chibnall want to leave early? I mean, I know he didn't, but like, did somebody drop out at the last minute, or what? Like,
It's the whole like we've the series is several years behind us. We don't have any issue with burning bridges if we come clean about stuff. Like when you hear about productions in the 70s about how Tom Baker was getting into fights with directors, and when he was like him and Lana Ward weren't on good terms, they were barely in scenes together and stuff like that. No, I'm not saying any of that stuff is happening now, but it's interesting when you have these decades in the making home releases and they can be candid about their experiences. And I'm just waiting for the like Chibnall interview in 30 years time when he's like, oh, we were in production of the series, we're having a great time, and then the Nazis turned up. I'm looking forward to knowing what they thought about that side of the discussion.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see, because I think it might have been something you said, where you said Series 11 was knocked about a bit by higher ups, and it's because Series 12 was so different. And I'm interested to see what happened there, because I thought about this the other day, like, because we saw an article which said that some of the scripts were written before Jodie Whittaker was cast, before they even knew she was going to be a woman. But then Chibnall said as soon as he was asked to be showrunner, the first thing he said is, I want a female doctor. So I'm interested to know, maybe the BBC set things in motion before Chibnall joined. Maybe they told some writers, like, just write a script with a generic David Tennant type doctor in. And then Jodie came on board, which would explain a weak characterization towards the middle of the series.
Yeah, I think that might have been the initial idea, but because I've got that like Twice Upon a Time storyboard where they don't have a face or anything to work on, because that's a completely different production team. So you have one side of the production ending the Moffat era and the Chibnall one getting ready to go, but the other side doesn't know what the other one's doing to an extent.
Yeah.
So yes, so Chibnall knew from day one, I think, that he wanted a female doctor. But some people below the line who were working on some of the elements of his series didn't know that was the case yet, because they didn't want anything leaking.
Exactly. It's a shame, though. I do miss that original idea for Series 11, where it was just the Doctor's a traveller, we've got these new companions, we've got some stripped back stories, just 10 episodes. I really missed that, because with Series 12, the boring canon, the constant bad advertisements and arc, it was all such I liked Series 12, but compared to what Series 11 was trying to do, it's a massive step down.
Yeah, because I think it was a step down from Series 11, Series 12, because like Series 11 has its issues, and its issues with characterization and weak, lackluster companions, but there's definitely a vision at play. Whereas with Series 12, there's so much going on that a vision isn't able to come to the forefront. For Cybersember, I watched the Lone Cyberman trilogy. So that's The Haunting of Diodati to The Timeless Children. And The Timeless Children is like 4 finales in one hour. And there's no time for anything to work. Like it walks like a finale. Like there's the scene when Yaz is telling the rest of the supporting cast, like, oh, we're going to find the Doctor and we're going to rescue her. And it feels like the build-up to a third act. And then, oh no, the Doctor breaks herself out the Matrix and her companions just find her.
Yeah, it's a mess.
That's like it's walking like a finale, but there's so much going on. There's so many divergent paths. Like, you could make a great finale about the Doctor rediscovering something about her past. You could make a great finale about the Master and the Cybermen teaming up and destroying Gallifrey.
Yeah.
But if you do both of those things, something's faltering. And so I think the main issue with that finale is that the reveal that there is a timeless child and who the timeless child is are back-to-back reveals.
Yeah.
Like before the fandom and even like the characters as well, because these are twists and turns for the characters as well. Before they've even wrapped their minds around this concept, oh, you've got another reveal coming as well, like seconds later.
I know. It just doesn't stop to
So
breathe.
yeah, it doesn't, because I don't feel anything watching it because I don't know how the Doctor feels about this upending of her life.
I know.
Like, there's the
Yeah.
great moment when she walks into her TARDIS at the end and just takes a moment to collect herself, which is cool,
In
but
concept.
that there should have been stuff like that throughout the episode.
Yeah.
But there's no room for it. There's not even room for a Shad in his own finale. He just gets
I know.
zapped out.
Such a waste.
Yeah, it's like it's the Orphan 55 of series finales. Like, I appreciate what it's going for, and on paper it kind of maybe works, but there's too much happening. There's too much going on.
Yeah. 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 It's just a mess. There's so much going on. I actually prefer Timeless Children to Essentially the Cybermen, controversially. Just a tiny bit, but I think Essentially the Cybermen was so weak as a script. I mean, Timeless Children is trying to be three things at once. Essentially the Cybermen seems to think it's some really dark, interesting character piece, but it's not. It's just a stupid Cyberman story. There's nothing going on.
Ascension of the Cybermen is trying to be like Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
But imagine if Bad Wolf at the end just became, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, you watch Bad Wolf, and then all of a sudden at the end it just becomes the sound of like the last of the Time Lords. Like, these two do not mesh. You completely changed the direction of the finale. Ascension of the Cybermen could have been a really strong setup story, but it's setting up an entirely different finale from what we got.
I know.
Because at the end of the episode, the Master just swoops in, and it's like, oh, psych, we're playing a different game now.
Yeah.
Or forget the past two episodes. This is no, we're doing this now. Like, it's not like the Daleks appearing at the end of Army of Ghosts, because it's Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. It's the same finale, just halfway through the Daleks have been dropped in.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, 2/3 of the way through, if you count Haunting of Villa Diodati, the Master comes in, knocks over the game board, and says, "No, we're playing Yu-Gi-Oh now." Basically, we're not playing Jenga anymore. We're playing Yu-Gi-Oh. We're not even playing anything that's even in the same league of the game that we were playing before, and that's the issue. And it's like, you want to change the canon, you want to change the background of everything, you want to change the Doctor's history. Great, just make the finale about that then.
Yeah, and do it right.
Because the Timeless Child, like, I can understand people being hesitant and skeptical about it, and I'm sure even the show is maybe going to be a bit skeptical about it going forward, depending on the approach they take. But it makes me really worried that if they think that the Timeless Child isn't interesting or important enough to be the focus of its own introductory episode, then what we're going to do going forward?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's such a shame as well, because Haunting of Villa Diodati is so good. I stand by that being the best Cyberman story since The Invasion, easily.
I'd say it's the best one since Earthshock, but the sentiment's the same.
I like Earthshock, but I prefer this.
It's a genuinely special story. It's lovely. Maxine Alderton has such a bold vision for the characters, and I love the way she structures that story as well. Where the first 10 to 15 minutes is just a fun character-driven runaround in the Villa Diodati. And I love the scene when the Doctor's like, "Oh, these are the best like creative minds of this century," and then they open the door and they're just drunk and jumping over each other because they're just raucous teenagers.
Yeah,
it's really funny, and I love Jodie Whittaker in that episode as well. I think it's one of her best performances.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, she embodies
does
everything.
her best work. She does her best work when she's separated from the companions and she's confronting the villains. Because I like the idea of a Doctor who is incredibly insecure, and she kind of needs that positive reinforcement around her. I just wish the stories were about that, because then it becomes a bit of a background detail, so you don't know if that's a bug or a feature.
Yeah, and I was watching Woman Who Felt the World last night, and there's this great bit at the start where Jodie's just like, well, the Doctor's just crashed through the roof, and she's talking to Yaz, and Yaz is like, "Stop, miss, I'm in charge yet," and just she gives her the coldest look, and she's like, "All right, then what are you going to do?" Like, that's exactly what I want from Jodie. I want that bubbly, fun personality, but with a bit of a cynical edge to it. Because when Jodie's in interviews, she's Yeah, she's fun, she's silly, but you know, she's telling a bit like not on edge jokes, but she's got a bit of a cynical side to her, and like that's what I want from this Doctor, and she could do it so well as well.
Yeah, part of me does hope that Jodie Whittaker stays on for a long time, and part of that is a little bit of spite, because I know that every year that Jodie Whittaker stays on, the lifespan of some people decreases by 20 years, just through sheer stress and anger.
Yeah.
But like I do think there's a lot of ways to explore this character, and Jodie, if I've seen her in so many other things, she absolutely has the range. Yeah. But I'm hoping that now that it's basically confirmed that Graham and Ryan are gone, and I appreciate them as performers, as actors, and for the most part as the characters. I think Tosin Cole got a bit of a bad rap, but I think he's a pretty interesting talent, and I look forward to seeing what he does next.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens if he was like the lead in something, because I think Resolution, in my opinion, proved he's got dramatic chops, and I want to see him spearhead something. And Bradley Walsh is just charming and lovely and has been brilliant. But I'd be interested in knowing how the 13th Doctor responds to a smaller TARDIS team. So I'm looking forward to what happens with her and Yaz over the course of the next series, because I think if there was another companion, we would have seen or heard something by now. Like, we would have seen someone on set stepping out of the TARDIS. We would have had a press release or something, because they kind of need to let people know on a professional side that they're looking for more companions, because they do the press release, agents get in touch with actors and stuff. We'd know by now, I think. So I think Series 13 is going to be a 13th Doctor and Yaz series.
So
maybe it'll be like Series 1 where a companion comes in for the last few episodes. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe like Series 2 where Mickey is a companion for 2 or 3 stories. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the creative team do with a smaller TARDIS team. Because even when I wrote my Collateral of Ivanhoe thing, one of the first things I did was I have to separate the TARDIS team. It's too big it's too unwieldy.
Yeah.
There's stuff you can do with it and have fun character scenes and moments, but in terms of moving a story forward, you've got to separate them. And I think that's why Praxeus is as strong as it is.
Yeah, it's not my favourite. I was pretty underwhelmed after first seeing it, but it is good. It's an enjoyable story, definitely. It does the best with the TARDIS team.
Yeah, it's one of the better structured ones because of that.
Yeah.
For some reason, I guess I like the beginning of Praxeus when Ryan and the Doctor have gone to their own places, and Graham and Yaz are investigating something. And there's the great shot where someone's outside the building, and Yaz and Graham come along, and Graham holds his hand up and is like, "Oh, hold your horses. We're here now."
Fist down, cool. Lad.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I like that. And I just wish they kind of utilised that team a bit more. But yeah, we'll see how they depart in Revolution of the Daleks. I'd be interested in seeing what is the impetus for making them leave. I don't think they're killing anyone off.
I don't know. I think they might be.
See, I don't think they can. I think they've written themselves in a corner where if Ryan's killed, Graham's going to double down, because he's traveling in time and space to get over Grace as a coping mechanism. You kill Ryan, Graham's not leaving that TARDIS.
Yeah.
But for Ryan, if Graham leaves, I don't know what Ryan would do. I also don't think you're not going to kill Bradley Walsh around Christmas, are you?
I wouldn't put it past him. Because I saw an interview with Chibnall where he said he's a massive fan of Earthshock, and he remembers the death of Aldrich apparently really impacting on him as a kid. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to do that again.
Is Graham going to wipe out the dinosaurs?
He's already done it, man. The boy's probably already done it.
Oh, that's going to be that's a big finish box set. Graham on prehistoric Earth fighting dinosaurs.
Oh, I'm pre-ordering.
It turns out before Adric crashed the freighter onto Earth, Graham was already there, beating up all the dinosaurs and wiping them out already.
Get off my cheese and pickles, Sonny. It's mine.
Oh, that's my Sonny.
Yeah. I can't see them killing him off though. I can just imagine maybe he gets shot by a Dalek and then maybe protecting Ryan, and then I could just picture Bradley Walsh as lying there trying to be brave for Ryan, but he can't help it. It just slips away. I can imagine Ryan, because Grace and Graham have now died, and it's as soon as the Doctor's shown up, and as soon as he's come back to Earth as well. So I can just imagine him blaming, because he now has no one to help him control his anger, because that was always what Grace did, and Graham helped him to do that. But now that they're both gone, he's just got to lash out. I can imagine him shouting at the Doctor saying it's all your fault, and then just storming off and just like never to be seen again. Kind of like Tegan, but in anger.
Oh, maybe, yeah. That would be really bold. I'm just be interested in how Yaz would react to that.
To probably stay on for the Doctor's sake.
Maybe, yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I think there's some really interesting directions you can take it. I'm just wondering, are they going to go in those interesting directions, or are they going to timeless child it and try and come up with 50 interesting ideas, but not let them breathe?
Yeah, or pretty much like 90% of their series 12 episodes. They need a series with two-parters, proper two-parters, not like series 9. Yeah. I'd love that.
I think I'd be curious to know because it's 8 episodes, including the special for the next series, isn't it? I've got a feeling people are trying to throw conspiracy theories around. I just think it's a case of they looked at all of the scripts that they had for the next series and thought, okay, these ones cannot work because we've got too many crowd scenes, we've got too big of a cast of characters, we can't safely shoot this. So maybe they went for the scripts which had more outdoor locations, smaller casts, things like that. So I think it's more a case of what is safe to shoot in a COVID world, as opposed to let's try and kill off the series slowly. I think it's more a case of that, and then they might just do those episodes and repurpose them at a later date. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what they do with the format if they are going to do two-parters. Because if they're doing two-parters in a series with only 7 or 8 episodes, they've got to make them count. Definitely,
yeah. What do you think about this rumor that the Weeping Angels are coming back because of Spotted One?
Yes. So if it's not the Weeping Angels in the series, if it's their that mobile phone game that they're doing,
I think they finished that.
So if it's not that, and if it is actually the series, I'll be interested to know how a different writer approaches the Weeping Angels, because I know Big Finish have done them, and apparently those are really good stories. Like the Weeping Angels in an audio production, sounds like it shouldn't work, but apparently it does. But for the series itself, I'll be interested to see what a different writer does with them. I hope they don't give them 50 abilities, like every single time they appear, they have a load of brand new superpowers. But if the shot of them of one just in the middle of the street is accurate, it's an angel in a little village or in a small town, maybe harassing and annoying the locals. That could be fun. It could be a fun small scale horror story.
Yeah, because one of the first videos I made for this channel was one where I talked about one of the things I hear people say a lot is that the Weeping Angels shouldn't have come back after Blink, and judging by what they did with them, I can understand. But one of the things I said was that it really felt like they were setting up things for future writers to do. So loads of Big Finish and short stories that I've read with the Weeping Angels, it's all about the characters. They're there to support some kind of tragic story for these characters to explore them. You've got loads of different things you can do with them. You can even use them to say someone's going mad, they see a Weeping Angel on their street and it keeps moving, but then everyone else says what you're talking about, and it could explore that madness. But all Moffat did was let's give them superpowers. You look at one, it goes inside your head. But one of the main problems with that episode, I really like it as a story, but one of the biggest problems is that it didn't need to be the Weeping Angels. Out of one or two scenes, put the silence in there, it actually works better.
Yeah, and there was a parody video a few years ago called it was a parody of the Muppet Babies, and it was the Weeping Angel Babies, da 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 da. Because that's what happened with Angels Take Manhattan. That was an episode that was basically, what if the Statue of Liberty was an angel, and that's all they had for the story, and they just had to work backwards from there.
I could just imagine Moffat being a New York thing. Oh, look, that's Weeping Angel. Look, it's my creation. Look, everyone, I created the Statue of Liberty. Look at me.
Why is there not is there actually a Weeping Angel Statue of Liberty figurine? That feels like there should. Feels like there should be. But
really, I'd rather get it, to be honest.
I don't know if I'd want it, but it feels like something that should exist and that I should know about. Yeah, but I think the Weeping Angels need to go to small scale stories again. They became part of the furniture during the later on in the Matt Smith and Capaldi era, where there was one in Hell Bent, there was one in the time of the Doctor, and stuff like this. they became quite diluted. So
Did you know that
I
Heaven
think
Sent was originally meant to be Peter Capaldi or the 12th Doctor stuck in a house with a weeping angel? That was the
that
original
might have been
idea.
cool. That might have been really cool. Yeah, I like the idea of like one person, one angel, or like there's one angel in a scenario or somewhere or a setting where you're really limited in your resources. Like for Flesh and Stone and Time of Angels, you've got it's basically Aliens kind of where there's multiple
Yeah.
angels and there's multiple soldiers, which I think was a cool direction to take it. But you need to go small again.
Yeah, it always bothered me how Moffat said like, "Oh, I want to do you want to take it from horror to action, like what they did with Alien and Aliens." But Aliens is still a horror movie, just with more action. It didn't jump
Yeah,
it didn't go from The Shining to Die Hard. It went from horror to horror with action. But that seems to be
mm.
what Moffat thought. Like, just completely different when it wasn't, which
Yeah.
bothered me.
He tried to do Aliens, but he ended up doing Aliens and Prometheus,
Yeah,
which isn't the best approach to take.
I didn't like
But yeah,
Prometheus.
nah, neither did I. I preferred it to Covenant. Didn't like Covenant at all.
I still haven't seen that. The first
I
Aliens movie I saw was actually Prometheus when I was 12, I think.
Oh, cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't watch Alien Covenant. But yeah, so for the Angels, yeah, like I want to see another writer take a shot at them. I want to know if it's Chibnall writing or if it's someone like Maxine Alderton. Because if you tell me Maxine Alderton writing a Weeping Angel story, like I'm there. That sounds great.
She's apparently a co-writer for Series 13. I'm not sure what that amounts to, but like, if she is, I'm thrilled. I cannot wait to see what she does. I hope she's showing her next, even though she's already written one episode, but still.
I think she needs another couple of episodes to show that wasn't a fluke. Because like Vinay Patel wrote Demons of the Punjab, and then the next season he writes what I can interpret as half of Fugitive of the Jadoon.
Yeah.
I think he wrote the best half.
Yeah.
But I can't tell if that story is Vinay Patel's work because there's so much continuity and lore and world building and mystery setups that I can't tell.
Yeah, it annoys me, like Series 12, because Chibnall, I've never said Moffat there, Chibnall just seems to take all these writer scripts and put his own stuff into them. And like, he doesn't really, what a showrunner should do is they should set up the sandbox for other writers to play in, but all he did was like, oh, that's a good episode, can I have my name on it please? Like just like a kid in the playground, can you put my name on it please, because I'm the one who decided on the game. And like, if you look at Praxius, it's a decent story, but I can tell which parts are Pete McTiggs and which parts are Chibnall's, because Pete McTiggs really felt like he wanted to do some kind of like small scale horror story about a virus that's killing loads of people, before Chibnall came in and says, all right, I had a dream last night where I was teleporting from one land to the other, we're going to put this into the script now. And like, he just doesn't seem to want to be able to write his own scripts. If he wants to do all these episodes, don't attach them to other writers. Make it 13 episodes again. I mean, I'm fine with the 10 episode format, but like, if you really want to write so much, just extend it. It won't kill anyone.
Yeah, that's another thing about the upcoming series. I think they should just bite the bullet and do hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
If there's going to be 8 of them, you might as well. Right? They've been flirting with the longer format for a while now. They might as well just commit to it.
Yeah, but then one of my biggest problems with The Woman Who Fell to Earth is that it feels very, not padded, but just too much space where it really stretches itself thin. I think if you cut out 10 minutes and you focus more on introducing this Doctor's character, and maybe like a mystery about what's going on with all these with this Power Ranger thing coming in every 10 years to kill somebody, and then you got yourself a solid episode. But because it had to be an hour, because all series openers have to be an hour, it just it was a really good episode, but it's too long. It needed to be cut down.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm just trying to think of all the stories in Series 12 that probably would have maybe benefited from the extra 10 minutes.
It Takes You Away is my favourite of Series 11. I think it's an amazing story. Easily the second best of the era, but I think it could have done with an extra 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, there was that whole behind-the-scenes image with that weird creature that never appeared in the episode that they made the costume for and they filmed all the stuff. That's some more stuff that I look forward to knowing about in years' time. Like what I want to see that footage because it was on set. There's definitely B-roll of that creature on somewhere on a hard drive somewhere, and I want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think one of the best things about it takes you away is that it doesn't feel the need to force in like a monster. It's happy with just its ideas and just playing with them. Whereas back in Classic Who, I mean, I bloody love Inferno. Do not get me wrong. I think it's an amazing story, but it feels like last minute those Primal things. It felt like they were just added in because they needed a monster. Whereas I think now Doctor Who can really just appeal to anyone with anything, and they were happy to just use these few ideas, really expand them and develop them, and came out with a masterpiece in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that I can understand people not having a good reaction to it because it's so different.
Yeah,
Like, especially like, what was the episode that preceded it? It was
Witchfinders.
Witchfinders. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
off the top of my
like,
head, that's sad.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. It's all good. Thank you for being there. But yes, you get the Witchfinders, which the last 10 minutes is just it kind of devolves into a bog standard alien invasion story.
Yeah,
But then with it takes you away for the last 10 minutes. It kind of transcends into a weird cerebral meets Douglas Adams thing, and I adore it.
yeah. I do like the frog thing, but I think they're missing opportunity. I think what would have been amazing is if they'd made it the Doctor, like they'd had Jodie playing both parts, and like she was playing more of a sinister version of herself, like Salamander in Enemy of the World, and like she's because you could even make it a commentary on the Doctor's character. The only person you could ever be happy with is herself, and like
See, that would be interesting, but I still think that that's just taking the easy way out. I think that's what you'd expect them to do.
yeah, the frog thing works. I don't mind. It bothers me that it's Grace's voice for some random reason, but like the frog thing's fine. I mean, it's better than mine. It's really good, but still, it would have been cool to see Jodie play it.
I still think the voice makes it. I love it. Yeah, but I even love like Ribbons. He's just there in the episode for 10 minutes and has nothing to do. I'm so happy he's here.
Yeah, I love the entire idea of the anti-zone, like the universe builds an entire reality around something to keep people out. That's a genius idea. I'd love to see them come back someday. I mean, they were used well in that, but I'd love to see them come back because it's bloody brilliant.
Yeah, that's something that I'd like to see them revisit a few years down the line.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a shame Ed Heim, he did a Moffat. He went from being really amazing one series to completely dropping the ball the next with Orphan 55. Yeah.
Yeah. So because we've seen this happen with like Neil Gaiman, where he did The Doctor's Wife, and then the series after he does Nightmare in Silver.
I know.
So it's hard to know what the behind the scenes machinations are that makes that happen.
There was a lot of problems with Nightmare in Silver though. They had no idea who the companion was.
That was meant to be like a two-parter or something. Yeah.
It was meant to have Victoria and Clara in. Then it was meant to have Amy in for some reason. Then it was because they wanted to push it forward to the first half apparently. And then all of a sudden it's this random girl called Clara, which is the most generic in Series 7, which is the most generic companion you could ever imagine.
Yeah. There's so many things working against that theory, against that story. So it maybe something. This is me playing devil's advocate. Maybe it happened again with Orphan 55. Because I've said this before, but that story ends with someone shouting how there's too many characters.
Yeah,
it feels like a cry for help.
It's almost funny.
There's too many people to transport. Oh, there's too many characters. Yeah.
Too many characters, not enough time.
Exactly, yeah.
That definitely feels like it was a very, very rushed production, because in the original Series 12 trailer, the scene where the Doctor is walking down their underground thing, it's filtered like with an orangey kind of glow, but then in the actual finished version it was all like greens, blacks and stuff, so they probably didn't even finish it until like a few days before broadcast.
I need to find that trailer again and just because I didn't notice that the whole color grading had changed.
Yeah. What would you say though is the best trailer for a Doctor Who series?
Best trailer.
Yeah.
So okay, this is because I can never make it simple. You've got your ones which are specially filmed for the show, where none of that footage winds up in the actual story in the actual series. Like you've got Eccleston's "You Want to Come With Me."
I love that one.
That's basically iconic at this point.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual trailers where it's edited with all the footage, I love the Series 4 trailer set to all the strange creatures, and they extend the music by a couple more bars so they can show off more of the cast. And I think it was our first look at. Oh no, I can't even remember if Davros is in it. No, because it's the first 6 or 7 episodes of Series 4 plus Midnight for some reason. But yeah, that trailer's insane. I also really liked the Series 11 trailer.
Me too. I like the shorter one with the pop music in the background.
Yeah, I'm not normally a big fan of pop music, but it's so energetic and it has such a great energy to it.
I love how on the nose it is as well. Like the lines of the song are made it through the darkest of the night, and now everything seems so bright. It's like got a chance to start again, and then there's the Doctor saying, "I'm just a traveller." So it's literally showing off how different it is to the previous series, and I love that. I love how on the nose it is.
But that whole marketing campaign clearly worked.
Yeah.
Because the first 5 or 6 episodes of the series got some of the highest viewing figures since the show came back. Yeah. I just think that midway through the series, what they used to do is do a mid-series trailer or give it an additional push. But that just didn't happen with Series 11.
Yeah, because with trailers, I saw the trailer for Series 3 the other day after Runaway Bride, and it's so evident that the series wasn't finished because there's no clips past the Lazarus experiment.
Yeah, well, because they would have a trailer on Christmas Day, and the series would broadcast in March or April. So it's all shot. It's all just being edited and everything. So it's why they had at the end of Christmas Invasion, they still had footage. They had footage from the first 5 or 6 episodes, including the first Cyberman reveal. That's a great trailer as well. But because you have a Christmas special or a New Year special, but the series isn't coming back for another 8 to 12 months, there's not enough footage to make a trailer for.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah,
but so it's a bit frustrating.
I'll tell you what, though, the trailer at the end of The Woman Who Fell to Earth is awful. It's so bad, where it's just the cast members that are coming up with the sound, with the theme tune in the background. No kid in their right mind is going to say, "Oh, I can't wait to see Alan Cumming and Sean Dooley in the upcoming Doctor episodes. Wee, I can't wait."
Oh, yes, it's Art Patlick, who is a great actor, but
Simon Corey,
who he is. But it's for me, that's an interesting trailer. But for the target demographic,
it's awful.
It's not going to do anything.
It felt like they were showing off. Look at all these cool actors we've got, and then a 10 will just be like, "Sorry, who are they? Who are they now? I've got no clue. I just want to see what's coming in this series."
There was maybe 2 actors in that entire montage who they probably knew of. Alan Cumming.
Yeah.
And what's his name? He was in the Saranga Conundrum. He was one of the Doc Brown. Ben Bailey Smith, because he was the showrunner and a main character in 4 O'Clock Club. So that's in the target demographic. That's 2 out of 25 actors that they showed off. Yeah.
Compared to the Series 5 trailer at the end of the 11th hour.
And you get people on YouTube like Gallifrey Forever 97 and so many great editors who put together such terrific trailers. But because they don't have the footage yet, for The Woman Who Fell to Earth, they absolutely had the footage. There was no excuse there. But for stuff like I don't expect there to be any trailer at the end of Revolution of the Daleks because they're still filming. They might have a little sizzle reel, 10 seconds worth of stuff, but they don't have to. It's way too early. It's not going to benefit them in any way. But even for Series 12, we had that one trailer, which was a good trailer, but it felt like it was trying to be 3 trailers at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was it. I only saw that trailer on TV once, and I saw no posters. I saw no marketing outside of Facebook groups. And I think, because I spoke to people who watched Spyfall Part 1 and 2, and then when Orphan 55 came out, I said, "Oh, what did you think of it?" And they were like, "Oh, it's still on? Oh, I thought it was just a New Year's special." They didn't know it was a series, and I think that was one reason for the viewing figures for Series 12, which are still good, but I think there's a lot of different factors and issues that culminated in the viewing figures being what they were.
Yeah, there were issues. At least you got to speak to someone who who watched Doctor Who on broadcast, because when Series 12 was on, I remember speaking to a mate who used to watch Doctor Who. He was even involved a bit with Classic Who. He was like, "Oh, is it on? Is it?" I was like, "Yeah." Did you not? He was like, "Nah, I didn't hear about it." And it's like, what? They're doing such a bad job. And I remember I was talking to because I did my GCSEs this year, and I was talking to a maths tutor who I had to help me with the results, and she was saying, "Oh, it's best to relax on the weekend to get used to things. Have you got anything to look forward to?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm going out, seeing some friends." I was also really excited for the new Doctor Who on Sunday, and she said, "Oh, is it still the one with that woman in?" And that's what she knew of Doctor Who as, the one with that woman in. That's not good. There should be more going on. That should be like, "Oh yeah, I'm watching it as well." It's disappointing considering how big Series 11 was.
Yeah. It's also because of maybe the gap between series.
Yeah.
It feels like Jodie Whittaker's been the Doctor for longer than time is a lake. Who knows what time is anymore? But because she's only done 21 episodes, but she's been the Doctor. She was announced as the Doctor like at the end of like over 3.5 years ago.
Oh no, I still remember it. It was spoiled for me.
It was the Wimbledon thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was watching the clip. I remember where I was in a cafe, and my grandparents were there as well, and they watched the clip before me. I was like, "Oh look, the new Doctor announcement." I was like, "Oh, don't tell me anything." I was like getting it up, and they were like, "Oh look, Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor." I was like, "What the hell? I didn't even have the clip up yet." Oh, they spoiled it when we were like, "Oh, Jodie Whittaker." I already said to them, "Did you not know?" I was like, "No, I thought you already had it up." And it's like, "No, no." It happened with Peter Capaldi as well. There's some unknown reason, which I still don't know to this day. My stepdad knew it was going to be Peter Capaldi, and he kept saying, "Oh, it'll be Peter Capaldi." I was like, "No, what are you talking about? It won't be." And then as soon as it was announced, Peter Capaldi was like, "Oh, for crying out loud, he's right again."
Yeah, I'll be interested in who they cast like later on, because it's always just interesting to say. I'm not saying I want Jodie to leave, but that conversation's always interesting to have.
Yeah, build up publicity.
But now that the doors have kind of been opened, where anyone is on the table to play the next Doctor now, which is, I think, the show in the long run is going to be thankful to Chris Chibnall for doing.
Yeah.
For actually being the first one to walk through that door, and for Jodie Whittaker as well. So be interested in seeing what happens in the near future, and if they if they cast another woman, if they cast a person of color, the possibilities are endless now, and I think that's interesting. It's good for the show in the long run.
It is. I was thinking, because I often think like a bit of fun thought exercise. What would I do if I was showrunner? And I had like an idea for a black actor in mind, and I was like, well, after a while, I was just realizing, nah, this is just. I think my Doctor suits just being a black female rather than this specific actor. So I think there are certain actors that would definitely benefit characterizations. So that, and now that that's been opened up, it's definitely exciting for the show to see what's coming next.
Yeah, and I think if like future showrunners now they can cast whoever they want, obviously, but they can also audition whoever the hell they want, and I think that's going to be great for the whole creative process. Like, you can have unconventional actors or ones who normally wouldn't fit the brief, and you can do screen tests and really experiment and really try and pin down exactly what your vision for the show is, because like you just don't when you make it more diverse, you make it more interesting, because now the possibilities have widened.
Yeah.
And like, why constrain yourself?
Exactly. I really felt like Moffat did, where he criticised the idea of having a female Doctor. I remember seeing this awful quote from him where he's like, "The Doctor shouldn't be played by a woman. I'd like to go ahead and suggest that the Queen should be played by a man." And like, that's such a horrible thing to say.
That's not how that works.
Not in the slightest, no.
Yeah, when you see people making arguments like, "Oh, what about Hannah Solo or Jane Bond?" And it's like, firstly, it says something that you're naming examples that literally haven't happened. And also because a character like the Doctor is one of the few characters where you can actually do this.
Exactly.
Like you're not going to have, like, say, because you're not really going to have Han Solo appearing in future numbered Star Wars films. But if you did Solo a Star Wars Story 2, sorry for the first one, and you recast Taron Egerton, what's his name? That guy.
Seen it yet.
That guy, Aaron Reich or something. Yeah, him. And then all of a sudden you've now got, I don't know, Saran Jones as Hannah Solo, and no one brings. Yeah, that's. I'm not going to say it's an issue, but it's like some things happened here, and that
Feels
can
forced.
yeah, and that can rip you out of the universe and out of the story. But
Ghostbusters as well.
yeah, well, for Ghostbusters, it's fine because they're
Oh yeah.
completely new characters. Like, if all of a sudden, Peter Venkman, is that his name? If all of a sudden he'd made some very interesting realizations about his life, and came back as a woman, then maybe there's a few questions, and maybe that feels like maybe it's a bit forced. But because it's a completely different cast of characters, that's fine.
Yeah, I suppose what I more meant was like it felt that they were just saying, "Oh, it's just female Ghostbusters," just because they, instead of doing a new story, they were just like, "Oh, we can do the same thing again, just now we'll do it with women, so it'll be different." That's just more what it felt like.
Yeah, there's a few issues with that Ghostbusters movie,
It's
but
not good.
I don't think the gender change is really one of them, to be honest. The main issue was them not knowing if they were making an action film or a comedy film, so it kind of meanders in both of those genres. Chris Hemsworth is still the best thing in that movie, though.
I suppose I really hate characters in any project or series where the whole joke is that they're really stupid. It's like they all look at them, they're getting things mixed up.
But I feel so seen by those characters. That's the diversity I want. I want that representation.
Yeah. I did want a female Ghostbusters, but it felt more when the trailer came out that they were doing the first one just with women. I'd rather see a different story, even with the Ghostbusters name, fine, but a different story with the female cast.
Oh, those were just bad trailers. Those were very bad trailers. And Sony's like whole marketing apparatus is so cookie cutter. Like I think I even mentioned this in a video that I did where I played like 7 or 8 trailers back to back, which had the exact same format and language and style. Like they've got a formula for trailers, and that formula did not work for something like Ghostbusters. And it's also, if you either like Paul Feig comedies or you don't. I like most of that. I like Bridesmaids. I like Spy. But if that's not your
I really didn't
humor,
like Spy.
no, that's completely fair enough because it's subjective humor. Did you at least like Jason Statham in Spy?
I can't remember. I can't really remember anything about it other than the really bad moments.
Fair enough.
And the awful acting.
That's absolutely fair enough. But yeah, if you like that type of comedy, then you probably like Ghostbusters, the reboot one. But if you're not on board for it and you want something like a dry, sardonic, like Bill Murray, Groundhog Day type thing, you're not going to get it. And it didn't remotely try to cater to that audience. And I think that's fair enough. But it's also, that film should not have had like $150 million budget. Or however much it ended up costing. It
didn't even have a script for most of it. It was just improvised.
That's the Paul Feig comedy approach. And when you're trying to do that with an action film as well, it doesn't fully work. I still appreciate it, and I also think the extended cut is significantly worse because I like the Ghostbusters film, but I learnt watching the extended edition that if it was any longer, I find it harder to tolerate because I clearly have a limit for that type of humor, and the extended edition it far passes that threshold.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like casting for gender and stuff, like the Doctor's one of the only characters in fiction where you can justifiably do this. And like, of course, like Jodie Whittaker was the first, but Moffat and Neil Gaiman with the Doctor's wife and moving on with Missy and everything, that kind of like set the template there. And I think that's the format it's going to take until Doctor Who is no longer a thing. And I think it's all the better for it. There's so many actors that you can now cast. Like she was in Haunting of Bly Manor. Tia Miller.
Tania Miller. Yeah.
Tania Miller. Yeah,
she's brilliant.
It's a shame that she was in Hellbent.
Sadly.
You can work around that. Like Colin
say Hellbent's a
Baker
dream. We all think it.
Yeah, Hellbent and Twice Upon a Time. Just do that at the same time. They were just regeneration-induced fever dreams. Yeah. So Colin Baker and Freema Agyeman and Karen Gillan, they were in the show before they were cast in leading roles. You can get away with it, and like Peter Capaldi, of course, they even drew attention to it.
Yeah, it always felt a bit forced to me. Like they couldn't just say, "Oh, it was a coincidence," or maybe a subconscious reminder they had to make a massive deal out of it. It was like,
Yeah,
Calm down a bit,
like
Moffat.
yeah, like if Moffat doesn't know what a half measure is.
Exactly. Whereas with Russell, like with Martha, it was just like, oh yeah, my cousin was there, and that's it. It was as simple as that. Or with Gwen in Still on Earth, like, oh yeah, cross spatial genetics or something, and it's just like a
Yeah,
small
yeah.
line of dialogue is fine. You don't have to make this massive, overblown deal out of it, and make it some massive character revelation. And it's just like half the kids watching this, if you're like 9 years old and you don't even remember the Tennant era, and it's like, oh, there's a clip from that Doctor that I haven't seen before. It's like you're not going to understand. It's going to be confusing.
Yeah, like because if you were to cast her from Hellbent as the next Doctor, like I'm more than happy to just pretend Hellbent never existed,
Oh yeah, I pretend it doesn't.
we can just and we can just carry on with our day. So yeah, well, that'd be interesting to do. But yeah, I think
Capaldi tragically
I was
only
asked,
had one series. He was 10.
like if you had like Jim Broadbent or Rowan Atkinson as the next Doctor, would you do a Curse of Fatal Death callback? Like,
Obviously, I've already
would
written
you
the fan fiction.
would you have inside the TARDIS the sofa of reasonable comfort?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the possibilities are that. So that's the possibilities.
I think Joanna Lumley would have genuinely like actually made a really really good Doctor when she was younger.
Oh yeah,
It's a bit old now.
yeah. I think she could pull it off now. Like if I'm just trying to just imagine you get a very old woman, so you've got like a William Hartnell equivalent.
William Hartnell wasn't actually that old though. He was only.
No, he was in pretty poor health. Wasn't like Capaldi like only a few months younger than him,
Yeah.
or maybe even older.
I think he might have been a few months older actually.
Yeah, but Capaldi he looks after himself. It's that Scottish diet.
Or the haggis.
Yeah, so all that haggis and thistles. He's all good for it.
I'm 1/16 Scottish, so I can say that all Scots people are very very healthy. Well, most of them are.
Yeah, very healthy and tough. Yes.
Yeah. Must be where I get it from.
Yeah.
My surname's actually a Scottish surname.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I'm Scottish at heart. It's
Okay.
a problem. I've got a doctor looking at it next week.
Yeah. He's gonna take a look at your insides.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so this Cyber-December, I have to say it's been fantastic so far. I'm looking forward to
thank you so
tonight.
much.
Yeah, isn't it? I won't spoil it, but isn't it like that comic that you asked if some people wanted to audition for?
Yes, it's the Flood. Yes,
Yes.
that's happening tonight.
Are you alright with it being said? Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
When's this podcast coming out?
I'm probably going to edit it today, but I'll probably have it scheduled to come out tomorrow, maybe.
So it'll have been the Flood, and now we're back in the revived series.
All right. Good.
So like Rise of the Cybermen and Next Doctor and all that stuff.
Will there be like a ranking at the end? Because I imagine they're a bit harder to rank than Dalek stories.
There will be a ranking, yes, but I won't be talking about the Wilderness Year stuff and the Five Doctors. Like it will be Cybermen stories in that ranking.
That's fair enough. That's completely fair enough.
So
I'm excited to see what your number one is because I can't actually. Like with Genesis, where it was very obvious that was your number one favourite. I'm intrigued to see because I know you said you loved Shock, but you also said that as a showcase for the Cybermen, they were a bit too emotional. So I'm interested to see how that all comes together and what the Christmas Day review will be. Because if there is a Peter Cushing Cyberman movie, I must have missed that.
yeah, it turns out I just watched one of the Hammer horror films and just replaced Christopher Lee with David Banks. But yeah, it will be cameo appearances and it will be the rankings and like what would I do with the Cybermen.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
So yeah, because there is no Peter Cushing stuff. I had to figure out something else to do on Christmas Day. But the Cybermen have way more cameo appearances than the Daleks. As in, they have more substantial cameo appearances. I think the number is less, but when they turn up, they tend to turn up for quite a few scenes.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised when you said you were doing Cyber December, because I know on the surface it seems like the next logical step, but with the Daleks, you bring them in, their stakes are automatically really high because of the emotional attachment. But with the Cybermen, they're pretty much their whole deal is the fact that they're not really the same people as last time. They don't have the capacities for hatred towards the Doctor, which is the Daleks' whole deal. So you could easily use them as like filler villains, like Closing Time has nowhere near as much stakes as even the worst Dalek stories. So and as you say, they come up for like cameo appearances, whereas you can't really do that with the Daleks. So I was intrigued to see, and I have to say you pull it off really well so far, even though
Oh,
you haven't liked some of them, which is fair
yeah,
enough.
well, yeah, the quality is all over the place for Cybermen stories. There was a few surprises in terms of like what I ended up liking from the revived series and what I don't. But yeah, the reviews get quite a bit longer and a bit more thorough. I did not expect the closing time review to be as long as it was, but there's a very specific reason for that, which you'll know when you watch it. So I'm looking forward to people watching that one.
I am a patron, so I think I know what it is.
Okay, yes, of course. There, you know what's happening with closing time.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm intrigued
Great.
to see that.
Okay, that'll be fun. Yeah, that was really good because I can't wait for people to see that. And there's more Cyber Steve, Cyber Jeff. It's going to be fun.
Yes, they are so funny.
And I
Like
think at the
genuinely.
end, I think at the end of Cyber Semper, I'm going to put a little video compilation of all of their adventures, give them a little theme tune, and just put that out into the world for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. They're hilarious. They genuinely are. Like, I thought you wouldn't bring them back after your time as children review.
It took a bit longer for me to bring them back than I wanted to. I wanted to bring them back for a black and white era episode, but I just couldn't think of anything. And then in Earthshock, when I see these two Cybermen just having a conversation, just in the back, and their hands are moving, and it's like, what are they talking about? This has to be it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the Attack of the Cybermen one. Why am I pushing it out with my gun?
Yeah, that's Steve on his own. This is what happens when he's not got Jeff around looking after him.
The bit that made me crack the most was the bit in the Five Doctors where it's like, I don't really want to be typecast. It's like, you're a Cyberman, Steve. I know, Jeff.
That's the job. I don't want to be 20% of the main character, which is what Tom Baker said, why he didn't want to be in the Five Doctors.
I know. He actually said yes at one point, you know. He was originally in it before he randomly just said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. The script was written.
Well, that whole photo shoot with the Madame Tussauds wax figurine, he
Oh, sorry, you cut out a bit there.
For photo shoot, but John Nathan Turner was like, I don't think he's going to do it. So what we'll do, we'll rent out this waxwork figure, this mannequin, just in case he doesn't turn up. And thankfully they did. And the other actors who played the Doctor, there's so many fun photos of them just messing around with the waxwork and carrying it around.
Did you know they actually emailed Tom Baker to see if he wanted to be in the Five-ish Doctors reboot, but he just never replied to their emails.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because John Coleshaw voices his voicemail message. Oh, I fell into the time vortex again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's John Coleshaw.
I didn't know. I never really thought about that. I suppose it would have been. I think part of me assumed it might have been Tom's actual answer machine.
That would have been funny. But I think he didn't answer those calls because he was doing the Day of the Doctor cameo, which that curator cameo is so fun.
It is. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was blown away. And my dad, who he doesn't mind Doctor Who. I mean, he likes it, but he's not like a massive fan. But he watched Tom Baker when he was on, and he fanboyed over that scene so much. He said how much it made him smile, even though he isn't even that fond of Doctor Who that much. But like, even for someone like who's really got a passive familiarity, it meant so much to them. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, Tom Baker is the classic series Doctor. He was the one at the peak.
He's my favourite Doctor.
Yeah, he's brilliant, and I've been enjoying his Big Finish stuff as well. Like his Time Lord Victoria story, Genetics of the Daleks. That's like the highlight of Time Lord Victoria so far.
Oh wow, I'll have to check that one out.
It's a really good story. You don't need to know anything about the rest of the story. They have a scene where a Dalek's like, "This is what you will become," but it still works on its own, and that's just revived series Doctor. It does a better job at being Twice Upon a Time than Twice Upon a Time does. So I highly recommend it because there's that scene, the Doctor of War, but no, this works way better.
Well, speaking of that scene where it's like the Doctor of War, I always thought that it's a bit off topic, but that end of Jenny's End, you know, where Davros says, "I name you forever, the Destroyer of Worlds." I was always so disappointed that was never mentioned again. Like, no one refers to him as the Destroyer of Worlds. Like, it's such a sick title, but bloody Moffat.
To be fair, this is where I'll defend Moffat here. It did seem like that was still his vision of the Doctor. Like, just because he didn't call him the Destroyer of Worlds, like he still went with the idea that he could turn an army around with the mention of his name.
Yeah.
In the 11th hour, he makes the Atraxes run away. A Good Man Goes to War is all about that. Even though they don't take the title, it does still feel like Moffat's vision for the Doctor still felt in line with what was T. Davis was setting up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
true.
I'll defend him on there. I'll say that one. And I think it was a really good and interesting vision for the first 2 seasons. It just kind of lost steam and momentum in Series 7.
Definitely. I don't mind it being his interpretation of the Doctor, always wanting to save people, but when he tries to enforce it on the Doctor as a whole, with all the previous ones in Day of the Doctor, that's when it really, really starts to bother me. Like, a lot.
Yeah, which is a shame because the music in that scene is insanely good, but it's not been officially released. It's like an I Am the Doctor meets Am I a Good Man meets All the Strange Creatures. It's an incredible remix that has never been officially released, and it makes me very sad.
That's a shame. Didn't they use Shepherd's Boy a bit, actually, in Day of the Doctor?
They probably did, yeah. Yeah. There's even at the end of Series 8 where they... because they combine the majestic tale of a madman with a box with Am I a Good Man? So it's like the majestic tale of a good man with a box or something. That's the name of the title. But it's something like that. A majestic tale, good man, or something. Either way, it's the best of both, and it's a great music. It's a great music drop.
Yeah, I think the music of Series 8 is probably the best thing about it.
Oh yeah, Murray Gold is still doing terrific work.
Yeah, it got a bit stale, somewhat. Can I say that in Series 9? But then Series 10 I went back up.
I don't even think that's like a controversial thing though, because like if you've been composing music for the same show and the same characters for 15 years, like it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
and it's why I'm glad that Chibnall did go with a new composer, and I really like Sagan Akinola's work.
Me too.
The more I listen to it, the more I appreciate it.
It's so good. I think his version of the Doctor's theme, I think it's called 13. That's my favourite version of the Doctor theme tune. Any of them.
Yeah, and one of my favourite just tracks ever is Me and My Mates from Resolution.
Yes, that's a good one. I remember hearing that just randomly out of context, and that bit where Ryan's saving his dad. I remember thinking is that like a Murray Gold theme, because it was that powerful, that emotional. Not like an insult to Sagan Akinola, but like it sounded so different. But also
it was against type basically, because he cut his teeth like working on documentaries and like making music for nature programs and stuff, where it is more ambience, it is more soundscape. But with Resolution, it's like nah mate, we're bringing the orchestra in, bring in the horns, and then that's Me and My Mates, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it also benefits Sagan Akinola. Like he's really just focusing on Doctor Who, but with Murray Gold, I found out recently, not only was he doing Doctor Who, bits of Torchwood, Sarah Jane, totally Doctor Who Confidential, but also he was doing Shameless as well, the British version, on top of everything. That is mad. How did he not lose his mind?
Yeah, I think that's why he's not released Series 10 or the Twice Upon a Time soundtrack, because he's now in Bedlam and he's like, oh, music is all I know. But yeah, I'm massively grateful to Murray Gold's work on the show for that length of time. Yeah. But I am also glad that there was a passing of the guard there. But I think Sagan Akinola's rearrangement of the theme is the best since Series 4.
Yes, I 100% agree.
I think his version and Series 4 are the best, like, revived Series ones. I think they might be the best overall, but I think that's because the classic ones are great, but they don't get me pumped up. Maybe they're
very slow.
Maybe the Sylvester McCoy one.
Yeah, I like that one, but it's not the best.
I even like the Trial of a Time Lord one.
Yeah, I just love Trial of a Time Lord as a whole. I think it's massively underrated, but yeah, the theme tune's really good.
But yeah, so because there was that end of year Spotify stuff happening, and Me and My Mates was my most played song of the year.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a great track.
It is really good. It is good, yeah. I often forget how good, speaking about Murray Gold, how good his Series 4 track was for the opening. because like I was listening to the 10th Doctor and Donna Big Finish box sets, and the first one I listened to, as soon as I heard the theme tune, I just got this wash of nostalgia and mass emotions. Like, I didn't realise how much I loved it as a kid and do now until I heard it again with a new story. It was I felt like I could cry. It was that beautiful. Well, not beautiful, but amazing.
Well, I think it's because that, I don't know what you'd call it. It's like the siren, that scream that leads into the music, is so strong in that version for some reason. But because for when I did the Flood episode for Cybersember, I recreated like 2 cliffhangers. And even though it's an 8th Doctor story, I used that version of the theme to lead into the credits.
Because the one from Big Finish.
No, because I didn't think of that, and I wish I did. you outthought me there. But I just used the Series 4 version because it just immediately, bam, we're going into the cliffhanger, going into the credits. That version's so great. Even though I probably could have used the TV movie version.
I love the TV movie version, but it's not really suited to cliffhangers. It's good. It's good as a movie soundtrack.
I think there's way too much preamble for that theme. Like once it actually gets into the main melody, it's awesome. But then it just takes like a minute to get to it. But to be fair, that's because the movie has the opening narration and the Master's Trial and stuff like that.
Well, that reminds me of a fun fact I heard. Well, not fun fact, bizarre fact that you wouldn't even believe at first. But did you know that Christopher Eccleston is the only Doctor to not actually say Gallifrey on screen? He never actually calls it by its name. It's always his home planet, the planet of the Time Lords.
That's a point, because William Hartnell says it in The Day of the Doctor.
Yeah, and
does Troughton not say it?
5 Doctors.
Troughton does say it, yes. That's that's interesting.
Yeah,
because it's something that you think, no, surely not. But then, the more that's a good fact actually. That's a good one that you should bring. That you can do at pub quizzes. But not pub, like specifically Doctor Who quizzes. Which is the only Doctor to not say Gallifrey on screen?
Yeah, you probably do it in Big Finish though. Let's be honest.
Maybe, but I'm still interested in just knowing when that story is going to be set. We've kind of gone full circle now because this is how we started it. But yeah, interested in knowing, is this pre-Rose? Is it like with Rose? Because if you had Billy Piper, you would have announced it by now, surely. I mean, you've announced David Tennant box sets for 2022, but you've not announced Billy Piper yet. Come on.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe you can even have John Barrowman back because apparently they didn't get along when filming.
Did they not?
So apparently so. I think because Eccleston's really professional and like really stoic and into his work, whereas John Barrowman is like, yeah, it's a party, whoa.
I had no idea. I never really thought of it like that.
But and that's just what I've heard. But either way, I think it's why John Barrowman and David Tennant got along so well, because they were very like-minded on set. But because you're doing Big Finish and recording remotely, they don't need to meet each other, so you could do that.
Exactly. That makes me sad though, because they're so fun together, Jack, Rose, and the Doctor. Oh, you made me sad now. Thanks, Mr. Tal. You broke my heart.
Oh, breaking hearts since 2010.
Yeah. Here's one now. Here's one back at you. Here's a question that will probably break you. So you've got a time machine, right? You can only travel back within the history of the Doctor Who production office as a writer. So you have the opportunity to write for any Doctor at any point, but the catch is you have to replace one story or one episode. So like it's one story. Who do you choose and why?
Okay. So I'm able to write an episode, but I have to replace it. I have to replace something.
Yeah, with your own episode, not with like an improved version. With your own episode.
I'm not sure, because I was thinking I could go back to Series 1, because first I just want to be in that production office, so I want to know how this all started. Yeah. But I can't think of an episode you get rid of, because like I think the long game is obviously the weakest, but you need it for the finale. Oh, okay. But either way, you need it for the finale.
Yeah.
And like Boomtown is probably one of the other weaker ones, but it still does really interesting stuff.
That's so fun as well.
Oh yeah, and like Annette Badland's great as well as the Slitheen. So I'm probably thinking maybe something like in Series 4, like get rid of the Doctor dances or get rid
Doctor
of the
dances, Doctor daughter.
No, sorry, the Doctor dances with his daughter. The Doctor's daughter or the Unicorn and the Wasp.
Get rid of Unicorn on the Wasp just because of the writer.
Well, I was actually going to say, like, you can keep the Doctor's daughter because that's how David Tennant and Georgia Tennant met.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it also gives Martha Jones another episode. She hardly does anything in that. But yeah, okay. So I'll get rid of the Unicorn and the Wasp, and I'll
Yeah.
replace it with something else. I don't know off the top of my head what I'd replace it with because I've not given any thought to what I'd write for a 10th Doctor and Donna story.
Oh, it's
Prob
kind of like one of those ones where they're so high caliber and so good that you. I mean, when I feel like I want to write a Doctor Who story, there are some Doctors I just can't do because I feel I'm not good enough for them. Like with Ten and Donna.
because that's such a great pairing.
Oh, amazing.
I'd probably go historical, but I still don't know what I'd tell. I might have to sit on that one, but I'd for series 4 because that's also like a production team. That'd be a great writers' room to be a part of, where they're at the top of their game. They've been doing this for 4 years. They know that their time is coming to an end, so they're just gonna put everything on the table. So yeah, probably replace Unicorn and the Wasp and do another historical. But I don't know what yet. I'll maybe if I think of it before the podcast goes live, I'll let you know.
All right, cheers. Yeah, I think I'd go back.
Yes, but
Oh, sorry.
what about you? Did you have an answer in mind for that question?
I'd probably go back to the 1970s and write for Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen, but I'd replace. I'd want to replace Revenge of the Cybermen, but it kind of caps off that series arc, which kind of puts it in a bit of an awkward position. So I'd probably choose Mask of Mandragora, which I do like it. It's fun, but compared to the rest of the series, it's really not good.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree. But as long as you write a story where Sarah Jane doesn't get hypnotized again, so you have 3 or 4 Doctor Who stories in a row where the companion gets hypnotized, then I think you're already doing better. I think you're already on better ground.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write something in my notebook, just scratch out a bit of a story beat there.
Oh no! All of part 4 is just gone in the bin.
Yeah, I'd definitely have a historical for Dom because he only actually had 4 historicals, you know.
Yeah, because I think particularly with the revived series, the placement of the stories, like, even though I don't think historical stories would be what I'd be good at writing, it just makes sense at that point in series 4 with the Doctor and Donna to throw in another historical.
Yeah.
And also just for like the beginning of that season for Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen. Yeah, you throw in another historical. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'd try and go with the because the Hinchcliffe era is my favourite era in all of, at least tied with Russell T Davies. But I love it because of the gothic horror inspiration. So I'd have it'd be a bit. Actually, I just realised it'd be a bit similar to Tanz of Wang-Chiang, because I was going to say I'd have a Victorian gothic horror, but then that's Tanz, isn't it? I'd definitely
Instead of
have
giant rats, it's giant turtles.
Oh man, get that written down now. Get that down. That is iconic. Yeah, I'd probably choose definitely historical. Because the Fenric's my favourite Doctor Who story ever, and like, the actual setting is really good. So maybe something set in like World War II, around that. I like the idea of a base, like an army base, and maybe somewhere where they're like maybe thinking up new schemes or weapons or tactics or whatever, and then there's some kind of alien interference. Maybe they're trying to alter history, but I go to that quite a lot when I'm writing a story. But still, maybe they're trying to. No, maybe they're using it to try and devise their own perfect way of killing humanity, or using it through them. I'm spouting ideas now, but yeah. And then the Doctor and companion arrive, and there's like this horror idea of people being picked off one by one. And I definitely have it. This is going to sound grim, and it's going to make me sound like I'm sick in the head. But I'd have everyone die except the Doctor and the
Hinchcliffe would have
companion.
been proud.
Yeah. I'd have every character die except for the Doctor and the companion, because they don't happen as much as you'd think. It happens with Horror Fang Rock, I know that, which wasn't long after, but yeah. And then I've already have an idea for I won't say it because I'm too proud of it, but an ending where maybe the companion asks why do you bother if people are just going to die every time, and then he shows her this random place in the universe where everything was like perfect. He says he does it because sometimes all goes right, and then you get this beautiful. If I was showrunner, my end of the world would end with that kind of ending. Yeah.
Appropriately bleak and awesome.
Yeah, pretty much. That sums up end of the world. Even though I don't actually like it that much, I actually think that's the weakest of the series.
I've recently revisited it, and I actually think it really holds up, in my opinion.
Series 1's amazing. So each episode's like at least a 7 out of 10 in my opinion. So it's still really good. It's just, I think the ending with the fan was a bit stupid. And why would they put the switch on the inside?
That is very silly. I will not disagree at all with that one.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's weighing it down. Without that, it would probably be like an 8 or something.
Yeah. No, yeah, that sounds like a really good story idea.
Thank you. You can't have it. It's mine. So don't try stealing it from me.
Damn it!
It's happened before.
I was gonna take this actual time machine I had and figure it out.
Have you ever had an idea for a Doctor Who story, but then you found out it's actually been done before?
Oh, probably.
It happens to me so much. It's depressing.
But it's always something. Oh, it turns out Big Finish did it. Like, God damn it. That's typically how it goes. Before
I saw Talons, I had an idea for a villain that travels back through time and they go mad because of it. I'd actually written it as well before it turned up. And actually, I wrote a fan fiction for this website where it was the 13th Doctor and Ryan, but they meet Missy. And I wrote it when I was on holiday in 2019, and then it was almost ready to go. I just needed to finish off the final part, but then Spyfall came out and the bloody Master was in it, and it was like, damn it, Chibnall, did you do this on purpose? I bet he did. I bet you tapped into my phone.
Well, it's like for Collateral of Ivanhoe, I wrote it before Series 12 came out, and I had the Jadoon in it, and then all of a sudden, oh nope, they're here. They're in Series 12. Damn it!
So were you playing it for a while then?
Oh yeah. I was writing it like kind of on and off, very very slowly during 2019, mainly because of just hard to find free time and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was on the table for quite a while.
Yeah, I have to say, out of all the things I've written for Doctor Who, I mean, I've only written fanfiction, but it's easily the hardest one because I think it's a problem because it's so limitless and it's so amazing with its endless possibilities that I'll be writing a story and I'm thinking, nah, to an even better one. I go and write that, but then, but that last one was really good. Oh, but I've already promised them this one. And, I just get so many ideas. It's good, but it's blessing, but it's also a curse for Doctor Who.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but it's a great limitless sandbox. But on the other side, that it's because it is that, it means that most of the ideas have already been taken.
Yeah, pretty much. This one I'm writing at a minute's probably been done, but I'm not giving up on this one. I'm too pleased with it.
No, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
I mean, Nick Briggs has tried to. He said, James, please, we've done this. I'm like, no, Nick, no. I'll get on my house, because he always comes into my house, he looks for my notebooks, he steals it, and then pretends he thought it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's either that or I'm some guy pretending to be Nick Briggs, but, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it turns out he's in your inbox, and you don't know if it's him or not, or if it's the real him or not.
Exactly. He probably wears a wig and pretends to be like my dad or something.
Oh, that sounds like exactly something he'd do.
Because he could probably do an impression.
He seems exactly that type.
Yeah. So, you excited for Revolution then, of the Daleks?
I am. Yeah, that trailer was way better than I thought it would be. That was a really strong trailer. So yeah, I'm looking forward to any status quo changes that happen. Looking forward to Jack. Yeah, I think I've got high expectations for it. The promotional images that I saw, like of the Dalek in front of the riot police, that was very powerful. Like especially with 2020 being what it was. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing just how it turns out, especially since it's now like 17 minutes long, so it is kind of feature length.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed. I was hoping for a 90-minute. I mean, I know it's hard to do, but still, would have been nice. I still don't understand why they don't. Oh, sorry.
You can always watch it at 75% speed, and then that makes it feature length. That makes it 90 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm still glad they've extended the runtime, so they've at least got time to do everything.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that's because it's been so difficult to film stuff this year that they maybe needed the extra 10-15 minutes to fill out the schedule.
Yeah.
So their loss is our gain, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still a bit disappointed on New Year's because people say it's always ruining tradition. They're killing Christmas. It's not that. It's a really bone-idly stupid business decision. Because if you look at the top 10 most watched episodes of The Revival, right, like 7 of them are Christmas specials, and they do so well.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what Jimmel's thought process was, where he's like, oh, look at all these massive viewing figures. Nah, don't want that. Let's just put it on New Year's, because everyone's watching then, when they're clearly not.
Yeah. It's got to be a creative decision, because if you look at the actual Christmas lineup for the BBC on Christmas Day this year,
Awful.
there's nothing that I wouldn't say. I don't even want to be mean, because I know what this year has been.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly like, we have to have this in this. Doctor Who cannot take this thing's place. No, you could have Doctor Who on that day, but maybe it's because they have nothing for New Year, which is maybe good for Doctor Who, I guess, because the only thing competing with it that day was Dracula.
Yeah.
There's something on BBC New Year's. There's something else that evening at like 9 o'clock that I googled and found no results for. So it's a drama that they've done nothing to promote at 9 o'clock that evening.
Oh, isn't it that thing with Jenna Coleman in?
I need to double check the name of it. Sorry to bring this conversation to a screeching halt while I Google. Okay, BBC New Year's Day lineup. Come on, Google, don't fail me now. Okay. It says it's just saying New Year's Eve. What's New Year's Day? Crying out, that's not what I Googled. Here we go. Okay, so that's Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. The Serpent.
Yeah, that's Jenna Coleman's in that.
I don't even know what that is. Jenna Coleman and Tahar Rahim, an upcoming crime drama miniseries developed by Mammoth Screen. Disclosure, I've worked with Mammoth Screen. I don't know if I need to disclose that. Based on the arrest of Charles Sobraj. And that's all I've got. Yeah. I'm not seeing any images. I'm not seeing a trailer. Oh no, okay. There's a few images of. I mean, Jenna Coleman looks funky in that blazer.
She looks funky in anything.
Well, she's wearing like a bluey greeny blazer. She's got orange tinted sunglasses on. She's rocking that look. She's looking pretty cool. But yeah, this is all I'm seeing of it. So yeah, there is something on New Year's Day. But I think while Doctor Who was like the most viewed BBC show on the day, with catch-up figures, Dracula overtook it because you could marathon and binge watch all 3 of those episodes.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this is the most egregious thing that I've seen on the New Year's lineup. On Christmas Eve, on BBC One, you've got Kung Fu Panda, then you've got Kung Fu Panda Holiday, and then Kung Fu Panda 3.
I know. What did Kung Fu Panda 2 do wrong?
That's the best one.
Is it? You think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's Kung Fu Panda 2, Kung Fu Panda, then Kung Fu Panda 3. And I still really like Kung Fu Panda 3. But 2 is like head and shoulders the best one. And I will fight you on the side of the street.
Okay. Calm down, Mr. TARDIS.
I will use my Kung Fu prowess.
I remember seeing them both when they came out, when I was a kid. I really liked them. I still haven't seen the third one, though.
Right, on New Year, on Christmas Eve, they're just repeating the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special from last year.
Well, that's fair enough. That did get like enormous viewing figures. I think it's the most watched thing since Only Fools and Horses finished.
I think that's the case as well. But yeah, on Christmas Day, blankety blank, Call the Midwife, Strictly Come Dancing, Michael McIntyre.
Yeah, Mrs. Brown Boys.
You could, Mrs. Brown's Boys at like 10. Yeah, so it's a bit of a tepid lineup, but I understand. This year's not been normal, which is why I think it's kind of fortuitous that Doctor Who filmed it as part of the same production block. They were able to get ahead of it.
That was a struggle, look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mrs. Brown's Boys does. I'm not happy that they keep bringing that back. Do you know that recently they signed a deal apparently for enough specials to take them through to 2026? That's not good.
Right. I'm glad that, because it's like a family business as well, a family business that avoids tax. But I'm glad that they're able to figure out a gig for themselves. I guess cash in now while you can, and see out and retire in the Bahamas or something. You know, if
Yeah.
no, like I don't even. That sounds more condescending than I mean it to be. Like if it has an audience, I'm glad people enjoy it, and I'm glad it's a TV gig that's employing a lot of people. You know,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
People either
But
really, really love it or really, really hate it, from what I've seen.
like it's not for me. Like if I watch an episode, I'll probably maybe laugh once or twice,
Yeah.
and then I'll immediately feel very guilty, and I'll give myself 39 lashes to repent to my Lord and Savior, and all that good stuff.
I'll be Russell because he actually writes good TV.
I need to. I still have not watched the last episode of Years and Years.
You haven't. Oh, it's the weakest one.
I feel like the Doctor and the Angels Take Manhattan have ripped out the last page of the book, so I don't have to finish it. But it's less romantic than that. I just never got round to watching it.
It was so good. That was really good.
That was great TV. That was a really good show.
It's funny though because it was really, really talked about, really popular. Great critical success, but it massively underperformed in the ratings. You know, it only got about 2 to 3 million, which is odd.
Well, it's weird because I think being a Doctor Who fan and viewing figures, it really skews the perception of what British TV is really like.
That's what I thought. I thought that'd be average for the times. But you know, Des, that miniseries that came out this year,
Yeah.
that peaked at 12 million.
Oh, blimey.
Oh.
Yeah, I think with British TV, it either really properly peaks really high, or it kind of meanders at 1 to 2 million views.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like because I didn't even know that about Des. I've not been looking at the viewing figures for other stuff this year. But because I know because of lockdown stuff, it kind of has skewed everything.
Yeah.
Like Channel 4 has had the highest viewing figures that they've had for ever since the channel started because of lockdown.
Yeah, like
their Goggle Box didn't get got 15 million views or something.
Yeah, but that's like their peak. But like Friday Night Dinner, that apparently got like 4.5 million, which is like really, really good for them. Which I thought, oh wow, that's really good for the times. But then again, I saw Des and Quiz, that miniseries, that got 10 million, which is insanely good.
Quiz was really good. I enjoyed that.
It was.
I haven't finished Des. I got halfway through it, but that was.
What is the matter with you, man?
I'm so non-committal. I'm so sorry. This is why I talk to you, though, the TV connoisseur, to let me know what I should and shouldn't be finishing.
Don't butter me up just to change the subject.
I'm trying to flatter the host so that they don't judge me.
Oh, too late. Des was amazing, man. And I would, in all seriousness, I would recommend it. It was the last episode was fantastic.
Well, it's mainly because me and my partner are really into true crime, like as in reading true crime, not committing true crime. So we already knew the story about Des, and I could probably go to an ITV office right now and pitch like 10 true crime dramas for that I think should be adapted. Like, you ever heard of the Pillow Pyro Killer? Yeah, stuff like that. So we're really into our true crime. So we already knew the story about Des, but seeing David Tennant embody that role, that it was a really good series. But it was fun watching the first 2 episodes of Des, and like every 2 minutes a Doctor Who actor appears.
Yeah, they get everywhere. They just get everywhere.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah. But last episode. This is great bit. I would spoil it for you. I mean, I think actually you know what happens, don't you?
I know the story, yeah.
There's this great bit at the end where he's locked up in prison. He's talking to the detective played by Daniel Mays. He's like, "I'm glad you stopped me when you did, because you know, if you didn't catch me, I never would have stopped." It's just how non-couth he says it. He's like, "I never would have stopped doing it. I enjoyed it, so we just carried on. It's best you got me when you did," and it sent shivers down my spine.
That sort of chilling mentality, isn't it?
Yeah, David Tennant's he's probably one of my favourite actors just ever. He's so varied. Like, unlike no other man. Or very few.
Yeah, like incredible range, absolutely.
Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of have you seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
You have seen Breaking Bad, yeah. That bit reminded me of that bit.
Yeah, that is something I have seen.
I finished it recently, but it reminded me of that last episode where she's like, "Oh, don't lie to me. Don't tell me you did it for us." He's like, "No, I did it because I enjoyed it. I did it for me." And that line, I just don't know why those 2 lines jump out to me so much, but they're so powerful and so good. Oh, incredible. I think Ozymandias is probably not only one of the best episodes of Breaking Bad, but easily rivals Curse of Fenric and Midnight and stuff as probably one of the best pieces of TV in history.
Yeah, it's Yeah, it's one of the few shows that felt like it really did stick the landing. Like we've seen with Game of Thrones, and also to a lesser extent Dracula, just how much a bad ending can just sour perceptions on everything else. Like no one talks about Game of Thrones anymore
I
because
know,
the
it just
ending was just
stopped.
so bad.
Yeah. I was actually considering watching Game of Thrones, but everyone I spoke to about it, they were just like, "Don't watch it. It's awful, awful ending." It was the same with Lost. I was like, "Oh, should I watch Lost?" Don't waste your time. And
Yeah, I'd agree on that one.
yeah, I
As
haven't.
someone who did watch Lost for 5 years and got burnt.
Yeah, my mum started watching it recently, and I was like, "Mum, don't do it. Don't do it." She was like, "Oh, they're setting up all these great mysteries." I was like, "Mum, please don't. Just don't. Save yourself."
Yeah.
And she stopped watching it, just like randomly. I don't know why. Should ask her about
But yeah, it's why it's also like Star Wars as well to a lesser extent
that.
because you're getting 100 Star Wars shows coming in the near future, but because um, Rise of Skywalker just did nothing for anyone,
Yeah,
just that just completely killed like momentum. Like, because say whatever side of the Last Jedi debate you're on, that animated you, that got you invested, that
yeah.
got you talking about it, but the last movie was just so nothing and so tepid
I still
that
haven't seen it. It's the only Star Wars movie I haven't seen.
like whatever conclusion you thought the franchise would take at the end of the Last Jedi is probably more interesting than the direction it did end up going in.
Yeah, I've never really been that invested in Star. That's probably my hottest take. I've never really been that fond of it. It was really no love lost with that movie. But I know a bad movie is a bad movie. But just
Mm.
like I think it's because I watched them when I was about 12 or 13, and not with everyone. But I think for a lot of people, it's like Doctor Who. You watch at a young age, it inspires you, and
Mm.
then that's what you build up that love over the years. But with me, I was like, I'd already got everything I wanted out of a TV show, like inspiration wise. Like I knew I wanted to be a writer, I knew I wanted to direct and write reviews and stuff. So I'd already got all of that. So when Star Wars came on, I was like, oh, okay, they're good movies, but it's not earth shatteringly good like everyone says.
Yeah, but I think just with Doctor Who, what I've especially learned it this year, like listening to Big Finish and reading books and comics and stuff, is that if you want to be all in on Doctor Who, it is very consuming because there's so much, there's so much back catalogue, but there's also so much still coming out. Like let alone like Time Lord Victorious and stuff. But even if that wasn't happening, Big Finish is still like they've released a Sixth Doctor box set this month or last month.
Yeah,
Like that story that should have ended like nearly 10 years before I was even born is still going on, and I kind of love that determination. But
yeah,
it's also I can understand why some people might just want to ignore it altogether in case it consumes them.
yeah, definitely. I think that's why if you watch at a young age, I was 2, 3 when the revival started, and so obviously it's always like been there throughout my entire life. Like Tennant's my doctor, so as soon as I started finding out about all this expanded universe, I was already obsessed with it enough to really want to get involved.
Yeah, yeah. Like you could watch just the revived series, or you can also dip your toe in the classics and expanded media. You can take it at your own pace, which is why I think that like it's so arbitrary to try and gatekeep it. Like,
I know.
oh, you can't like Jodie because she's probably the only Doctor you've ever watched. And it's like so.
Exactly.
Like, there's so many facets to this franchise, this community that like gatekeeping itself is dumb and stupid anyway, but gatekeeping for Doctor Who is a fruitless endeavor.
I know.
There's so much to it,
It's like
and that
gatekeeping TV in general because you haven't watched
yeah,
enough.
yeah, it's gatekeeping the idea of storytelling.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But it also means like because there's so much within Doctor Who, it also means that there's always something for any like place in my life I'm at. Like mid last year, because I wasn't too fond of Series 11 until recently, when I rewatched it and actually really really like it. So I was kind of at a stage. It was before Series 12 came out. I was like, oh, I can't be that bothered with Doctor Who. I mean, I still liked it, I still watched it, but I was not that bothered. But then Scratch Man came out, and Tom was my favourite Doctor. He still is, and so I bought the book. Actually, I think someone bought it for me, and I read it, and it blew me away. It was like being like 5 years old, 6 years old when David Tennant was a Doctor, and like that experience I hadn't felt for so long, and it blew me. It was actually really scary as well. Like genuinely,
Yeah,
actually coincidentally watched it that night, so yeah, I bet you can imagine what kind of sleep I had. But yeah, it was mind blowing, and it completely revitalised my love for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I still need to listen to Scratchman. I've got the audio book. I guess I haven't listened to it yet. But yeah, that sounds. It's from what I've heard, it just sounds incredible.
Yeah, I wrote a review of it for the Who Addicts recently, and I gave it like 9.5, I think. Yeah.
Very nice.
So if you ever want any recommendations for anything, I've written a few for them.
Okay, I'll check those out. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll give you that one for free.
Oh, cheers. Thank you. You start charging for anything else.
Oh yeah. As soon as they start getting to the new ones, you've got to pay. I mean, I expect it. I expect it.
Oh boy. Let me open up my wallet.
Actually, this podcast is costing you by the minute. I hope you've got your PayPal ready.
Oh God. I guess I have to open up the Big Finish funds.
Got like a few thousand there, I bet.
Open up this wallet and a single fly with Colin Baker's face flies out of it.
Even more of me.
Even more of me. Nicely done.
Yeah. Cheers. So when Cyber December is over this month, what is next for the Mr. TARDIS channel?
Bit of a break. I want to be just looking at the feedback and reception and the numbers and everything from Cyber December has been way better than I could have anticipated. So I want to stick with that format, but I can't do another marathon. Especially because I did Collateral of Ivanhoe at the same time. I can't do all that at once. So a marathon format, but maybe weekly as opposed to daily for an indeterminate amount of time. So yeah, I'm not ready to say what I'm working on properly because I'm just worried that in case it doesn't happen, I don't want to set myself up. But more stuff like Cyber December. I want Big Finish Fridays to return, work my way through the monthly adventures, monthly range. We'll see how all that goes. But I think January is all going to be Revolution of the Dalek stuff and summarizing Series 12 because Revolution is going to be like the finale to that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
maybe
you're going to do those best and worst moments.
Yes, do some rankings, do some best worst moments. If I'm motivated to do so, we'll see what January's like if work picks up.
Well, I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on again for the unofficial second pass.
Nah, so it doesn't even feel like a recording thing. It just feels like a fun conversation.
Oh well, that's what I like to hear. That's what I'm aiming for with these Frascussions. I need a better name for that. Yeah, but I'll speak to you soon. Thanks again for coming on. I'll be watching your Cyber December review tonight. I'm excited.
Lovely, thanks. The one that's going on tonight at time of recording, The Flood. I'm really looking forward to people hearing that one.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Davis is coming back. Oh. He's done Cybermen in comics, as he did Cybermen with Big Finish for the spare parts video. If I hadn't have done the Collateral of Ivanhoe at the same time, I wouldn't have felt motivated or confident enough to try and do what I did with the Flood video. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. Davis says that the Flood is his favorite Doctor Who comic. So I showed him some of the clips, and he was like, "Yeah, shivers down my spine. You did really good here." So it's got his seal of approval.
Oh well, I'll take that on board. It's definitely a seal of approval for overall content. That's a joke. I like his channel. He's a good YouTuber.
He's a bloody charisma machine. I've heard him on other podcasts.
Yeah. I heard him on Thowry's podcast, which I'm still offended I haven't been asked on to yet.
Just slide into his DMs and see what you can do.
Yeah.
See what magic you can work.
Yeah, I'll see. Anyway, thanks again. Take care.
No problem. Take care, buddy.
Right. Bye.